Well, hello everybody. Welcome to the show today. Glad to have you here on this Sunday night. Welcome to Night Owls. Hopefully, you all had yourselves a great weekend. I know mine was nice and quiet, and it had a couple of good points to it, actually. Today is a gorgeously sunny day, nice and cool. We don't have any kind of sweating going on whatsoever. And I got a nice hot cup of coffee. I'm sitting here with Thundero, and my wife's in the house too. So, that means I can't.
The better half.
Yeah, I need to
Yeah,
be. I need to be being good boy.
that's right.
Yeah. But anyway, welcome everybody. I'm going to go over here and hit that like and share button. Hopefully, you guys will do the same. But whilst I do that, Thundero, how was your weekend?
Good. Very few complaints, which is always preferable to the alternative. Yeah,
Hmm.
no, very simple weekend so far. Very good. The wife and I have been watching a little bit of Bleach because, as we're going to talk about in a little while, it's coming tomorrow for us in the states. I would assume you already have it over there, but
Probably.
over here in the states, it's going to be on Hulu tomorrow at noon in the Eastern time zone, 11:30 noon, something like that. So I'm pretty excited about it. She has some idea of the end of the story, but she didn't read the manga. I already did.
Hmm.
So she's gonna come at it mostly fresh. So that'll be fun because it's. I think it's pretty good. It's just rushed. He was sick or something, and he had to hurry up and get to the end so he could stop working, basically.
Yeah, it makes sense, right? Well, my kids watch it. It's not really my thing, so I haven't been keeping a very close eye on it. But I will. I will see. But I'm sure. But anyway, hello Roger, hello Dave, and Hulu. What are you talking about? Oh yeah, Hulu. I actually might be switching over to them soon because come the end of the year, I'm not paying the extra for my kids to use Netflix, so I'm going to be shutting Netflix down. So maybe I'll go get a Hulu account. I don't know. I know my wife has an Amazon Prime account,
Mhm.
and well, it's weird. Amazon's weird, and I think it shows the chaos over there because Amazon will put out some really good stuff like Reacher and the Jack Ryan stuff, etc. There's some good stuff, right? And then they'll come out with this Rings of Power, which is absolutely insane. So I just think it's chaotic and it's a bunch of little camps, maybe, uh, where Netflix seems to be more unified in their failure. I don't know.
Well, Netflix is definitely coming straight from the top. I don't think Amazon stuff is necessarily coming straight from the top. Like, I don't
No,
think
no.
Bezos is sitting over there telling them exactly what he wants in the shows, uh, or
Maybe
in
a
the shows.
normal dude isn't really set out to own the first $1 trillion company in the world.
Yeah,
Maybe.
no, no, maybe that should
Maybe he
just be
got
one
lucky.
guy. Um, but yeah, Amazon or not, I'm sorry, Netflix's problem is top down
Yeah,
because when they don't
that's true.
have meddling, when they don't have political nonsense injected into it, they can actually put out good stuff as well. But they can't help themselves because it's a mandate from the board.
Yeah.
Whereas I think Amazon stuff is like you said. I think it's very segmented,
Mhm.
and it just depends on which group gets it. And if it's the political group, you're going to get nonsense. And if it's not the political group, you're going to get the best adaptation, probably of all time, like Jack Reacher.
That
Uh,
was really good. I think the Jack Ryan one is pretty good too.
yep. Yep.
But hello, Eric. Nice to see you, dude. You can come over here and say hi to us. You can jump in here and have a chat.
Oh, he's
But
too good for this now. That's
yeah.
what it is.
Uh, but with that though, like I said, I probably will be jumping to Hulu. But speaking of the weekend, I mainly stayed home. I had to go to run an errand or two. But we did go to a restaurant though. Um, I don't know about your wives, those of you listening, but my wife likes occasionally to do the couponing. I just got yelled at. Uh, so yes, but she enjoys that, and it's fine. It's whatever. It's like a hobby, right? And she ended up getting us a meal last night that would have cost $100, and it cost me $20 through
Wow.
couponing and government stuff. And I went and tried it out, and I had been there before, like I don't know, 15 years ago, right?
Mhm.
It's actually a kind of local restaurant, and it was god awful. It was god awful. So I wasn't looking forward to going back again, even though it's 15 years later. But I was
Mm.
pleasantly surprised, dude. They leveled up in a major way, man.
What kind of restaurant was it?
It's a supposed Italian. The Japanese don't do Italian well. I don't know what that is. You can find some good French restaurants. You can
Mhm.
find some good Chinese. I mean, so there's some foreign food they do okay, but God, they suck at Italian. But this one
Which is
leveled way up, dude.
which is interesting because they eat noodles and stuff too, right?
They
How
do,
they mess that up?
but they
How they
don't
mess
get
that
it.
up?
And of course, the reason why is their noodles are always in some kind of liquid, and a sauce is not. You need a different type of noodle. You need a rough, craggly noodle to hold
That's
that to cling to that sauce. Where here, smooth noodle is just fine, right? Because it's just
mhm.
it doesn't So I think that's a big problem with their pasta. And the pasta, still wasn't correct, but it was just such a huge level up, and I was like, good on you, dude. Good
That's
for
good.
you.
That is my favorite type of food. It's not even close. Italian food is amazing. Even a lot of American places do it wrong.
Oh, sure.
They just it's just like I know a lot of people love Olive Garden and stuff, but I hate Olive Garden. I think
Oh,
Olive
I
Garden's disgusting.
I can't even imagine bothering to waste my money at a place like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Especially when I guarantee you, either in the town you're living in or in one very close, there's an actual Italian restaurant with actually good food. Um, and you're wasting your money on that trash. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah. Well,
it's it's a lot of American restaurants even still they don't get it right either. They either put the wrong amount of spice or they put it, they put certain things in it. Like a lot of them will put a lot of sugar in their sauce now to sweeten it, and I'm just like, no, I don't. No,
Well, if
stop it.
if you're using tomato, recipe needs to have some sugar in it simply to kill the acid. But you're
Yes.
right, it does need to be balanced. Dave says coupons can be embarrassing at restaurants. In the U.S., they sometimes screw the servers. Well, here in Japan, we don't have tipping, so
Mm.
yeah.
No tipping needed.
No, yeah. But I just wanted to give a shout out to him. It's called Bella Bella. Of course, none of you guys would ever go to it, but I bet, like I said, it was 15 or more years ago, and it wasn't good, but the place looks the same. They kept it up beautifully. It's very clean, so good on them for that. Well, that's not strange in Japan, but it's just his cooking level has increased immensely, and
It's good.
I
What'd you
just
get?
well, she did some coupon thingy, so it was like this $50 per person set.
Mm.
And other than the roast beef, which came out of a package, the rest of it was homemade. It was one of the best omelets I've ever had in my life. I mean, really good
Hmm.
job.
Interesting.
Omelet.
Yeah,
But you went to an Italian place.
I know. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Hey,
Uh,
this
Huh.
story just took a total
Uh,
turn. Wait a
did you get
minute.
the
So you went to
spicy
an
meatball?
you
no,
went to an Italian place
they don't do
and
that.
got an omelet
And my
Yeah, I'm
pizza had
I'm
potatoes on
confused.
it. I
and
know.
then pizza. A pizza and an omelet. What is this meal?
And my pasta was the last thing I ate. Although the
That
antipasto, or I would call it an amuse-bouche, to be fair, little platter they gave us was excellent. The carpaccio had raw fish in it instead of what it's supposed to have. But I don't know.
this meal was an ordeal. It sounds like to me. This was an ordeal of a meal.
It was, but and I just felt like he deserved a shout out. Eric Adams, singer of Men at Work, just celebrated his 70th birthday, and he will celebrate 30 more of them at least. Yes. How about you, Eric? How was your weekend?
Oh, it's been pretty good. I can't complain. I launched a new campaign on Friday. We funded in 4 hours, so that's always good.
Oh, good on you,
Oh,
dude. Congratulations, man. That's good to
Thank
hear.
you.
big
Uh,
money, no whammies.
yeah, there you
Yeah.
go. Well, he's been doing it long enough. He's grown an audience, right? So
Yeah.
yeah.
This is a spin-off of my regular series, so it's not doing as well as my regular series. But it's my fifth successful campaign, so
Fair enough. Just keep pushing, dude. Keep pushing. Dave's going on about his Italian grandmother. Yeah, no, I had one of my uncles. Of course, there's nothing Italian about me or my family, but my uncle Bill was in World War II in Italy, particularly. Well, he was in the North African campaign, and they moved into Italy, which the Italians just put their hands up and said, "We are finished," you know how they are. But he actually brought home a wife from Italy, and they were married forever. She was an actual Columbo.
No,
Yeah.
like
Uh,
like old Chris himself, huh?
no, 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 a Columbo, an
Like the
actual.
detective?
No, the mafia family.
Oh, that
Oh,
Columbo.
oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I'm surprised they allowed that to happen, but my Uncle Bill was a handsome man. Let's be fair.
Mm,
My aunt Fernanda, she was a really nice lady, and she cooked. Of course, she's born and raised in Italy, and she cooked really good stuff. Man, her baklava was killer. And I know everyone's like, "That's Greek." Well, yeah, dude, everyone has their own version, and they're all a little bit
yeah,
different.
yeah.
Yeah, so and I come from Rhode Island, and there's a lot of Italians there, and so we were spoiled for good Italian food since that conversation is still going over here in the chat. But pasta requires the right noodles, and a lot of companies, and I'm sure this Italian Garden, what is it called?
Olive
Olive Garden.
Garden.
Olive Garden, yes. I'm sure they are cheap as shit on their pasta. And the simple fact of the
Yep.
matter is, you can get pasta for a buck a pack, and I'm sure a wholesale, a company like
Well,
that can get
not
it
any,
cheaper.
not anymore. You can't, but you
Well,
used to be able to.
I'm just going
Yeah.
on, traditional thinking. But the thing is, you really want to spend like $3 to $4 a pack, and it cuts in your profit a bit. You have to be a little more sensible in other things, but you will have such return on your expense because better pasta is light years ahead. It's a very important thing. But anyway, we're not here to
Yeah,
talk.
calling Olive Garden Italian is like calling Taco Bell genuine
Mexican.
Mexican.
Oh
Yeah.
well, most of that food's Tex-Mex anyways. It's from Texas anyhow,
That's
right?
you.
You know,
That
um,
was my wife.
and to
Eric
be,
says bless you.
oh bless you, gazoon tight.
It's
I'll go
that
the
time of year.
Jubases with you.
It's
Um,
that time of year.
yeah.
Season time.
Well, the interesting thing with all that Tex-Mex stuff, it's all gone back into Mexico, going back home, just like pizza has gone back to Italy, and they all make the American style now, not their original. I mean, the only place I'm sure there's places in Italy you could find it, but the only place I know that really kind of still makes the old pizza casserole is Chicago, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah. Anytime I'm in Chicago, you got to get one. It's the rules.
Well, yeah,
I didn't make the rules.
it's not a
That's just the
pizza.
rule.
It's a traditional Italian casserole, and just eat it like that, and it's fine.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
you're $25 a slice because it's like 5 inches thick.
Yeah, it's a casserole. That's what it is. And it's fine. I never understood that big rivalry between New York and Chicago. It's like, what are you talking about? They're not even the same food. You need a fork to eat in Chicago.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
in New York, it's embarrassing unless you're Donald Trump, which still embarrassing.
Yeah. Well, he also burns his steaks and puts ketchup on them.
Oh
So
yeah, well, he's the most unrefined billionaire on the planet. That's for damn sure.
yes.
Uh, that's why he's the blue collar dude, though. He's always been that way too. He's
Yep.
always been this. He's very down to earth in that regard. He's just I don't know. It's a nouveau rich thing, and the thing is, his family are not like that.
No.
His family's well known in New York, very successful construction company,
Mhm.
and they're very haughty taughty types. But he's not. I don't know. I don't get it. But whatever.
He just likes gold toilets. That's all. That's his big.
He's gaudy and
Yeah.
he's just redneck. It's Donald Trump is hilarious. He's such an enigma. Yeah, and he was the most entertaining president we've ever damn had. I tell you that.
I
Although,
don't know. I don't know. We got Biden walking around looking for dead senators and stuff. And
Trying
it's
to
pretty
start nuclear
entertaining.
wars. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
well,
He's entertaining.
yeah, it's sad though. I feel sad a lot. Um, Although I kind of imagine Teddy Roosevelt would have probably been fun if there was a camera in front of him.
Oh
You
boy,
get the feeling,
Teddy,
don't you?
old teddy bear.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, he was definitely not one to mince words, so he would
Well,
have been interesting.
I hear that from just reading about him, he was actually quite the funny man, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Because Trump is
charming.
actually quite funny. It's just surprisingly, I never expected that out of him because I grew up on the East Coast. You can't get away from Trump. But
Oh yeah.
The last president I remember that had a sense of humor was really Reagan. He had a good sense of humor. Although I know we love to hate on Bill Clinton, but he actually could be funny too. Um,
Oh, he was charming.
yeah.
In all honesty, Obama's charming when he's not, a total disaster.
Yeah, but he's
Like,
charming, like the nun who needs to shave the mustache. So I was just going to type Theodore Roosevelt. Yeah, no, you just get a feeling, because all we have is words on him. We don't have anything other.
yeah.
But you just kind of get a feeling he probably was a fun guy. Uh,
Oh, I would love for a Teddy Roosevelt president right now. I think most of the country would, because we desperately need a president of that caliber
Yeah.
very soon.
yeah.
Like, but actually now would be good if he could just come take the position from Dementia Brain. That'd be great.
Well, I
Because
mean,
these guys is trying desperately to start a major conflict that we absolutely will lose.
well,
100%.
I kind of think if Eisenhower wasn't put in all the situations he found himself in, and then being the war criminal that he was, um, I think he probably would have been similar. But
Probably.
that's not the reality, unfortunately.
Sadly.
But yeah, no, fun is good. But aren't you kind of like sad and embarrassed a lot, Eric, with this guy walking around? I mean,
It is. It's quite embarrassing, and you do feel sad for him. It's like he's probably not there on his own accord,
well,
and he doesn't even know what he's doing half the time anyway. So,
yeah,
because
and
I've had dementia in the family, so yeah, that is a sad thing to have happen.
I have seen it. The weirdest thing, because we had my experience was over here with her family. Of course, I haven't really seen my family in decades. The weirdest thing, she had dementia. I don't know if it was Alzheimer's specifically, but it was definitely some manner of senility, right? And even up until the end, she forget people all around her that she's known her entire life. But she remembered me. And it's weird. I'm like the newest addition to her life.
That's why. Yeah, yeah. That happened with my grandmother on my dad's side. We were the youngest grandchildren, so we were the last ones she remembered. She forgot everybody else for us a long time ago. Then we were the last ones she's
Maybe
remembered.
it's just simply it was the freshest thing on her mind, I guess. But
Yep.
she called me for all the time I was here. She always called me darling, and I just assumed she was just trying to use English and being cute. But my wife corrected me. It was like, no, she's not calling you darling. She's calling you Darren, from Bewitched. So I guess I look like him. I don't know. I don't look anything like him. But all white people, I suppose. But yeah, kind of popped my bubble. I kind of like the darling thing. I thought that was quaint.
Wow.
Should just let me have my delusion, woman.
That's
Instead, she called you a homosexual actor from the '60s.
Yeah, right.
yeah.
Shit, cause she has no clue.
Well, which one though? So it was two Darrens.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you know how your grandma used to call me darling, and you said no, she's calling you Darren from Bewitched. Yeah, Dotting. Yeah, yeah. They don't pronounce the R's properly here. They don't have R in their language, which is interesting.
It
Most
isn't.
languages would rather have the R than the L, actually, but here in Japan it's opposite. But nevertheless, yeah, yeah. Oh well. But nevertheless, before we do jump in, like I said, it's a really nice weekend. I'm glad everybody had a good weekend. I did want to make a couple of mentions of things before we get into the news. Keep in mind, I'm still kind of on this October schedule, so there won't be any show tomorrow, just so you know. We will do the Bugbear's Basement. I hope we'll have everyone back this week, but that's all right. We didn't do a game last week, but we had a nice little chat. And other than that, Eric, is there anything you'd like to talk about before I get into the news?
I just assumed you were talking about Italian restaurants because you're going to talk about the new Mario Brothers trailer. Are you going to talk about that?
What? Don't mess with my foreshadowing.
Are you going
Supposed
to
to be
talk
a
about Werewolf
secret.
by Night?
I haven't seen it yet, so I didn't want to talk about it. Although
All right.
we can have a non-spoiler conversation, and
Oh
since I
no,
don't
that's fine.
have it
We'll
up,
wait till you. We'll
okay,
wait till
I
you
should
see it.
watch it
Yeah.
this week. I should. I guess the question would be, did you like it?
I liked it. Yeah.
Okay. Is it as egregious as it seems?
No, I don't- you know you had that article last week or was it the week before on it,
Last
and
week, I think. Yeah.
yeah, I don't think it was like that at all.
Good. Another thing I
It
do
didn't
need
really.
to
It didn't focus so much on I can't remember the character Elsa uh,
Elsa Bloodstone. Yeah.
as
Uh,
much as that article said it did. She's in it, of course, and they're there for the because Ulysses Bloodstone has died, so that someone needs to win the Bloodstone. But yeah,
sure, sure. Well,
it was fun.
we do complain about Marvel, and it's fair enough. But they more kind of roll their shoulder into the woke rather than just
Yeah.
open the jacket and run streaking across the road. Dude, did the youngins understand what I just said?
No, no, they don't.
Probably not. Huh? But yeah, no. Marvel does tend to kind of roll the shoulder in, don't they? Um,
Man Thing was super cool though.
I imagine it looked cool in the trailer.
Yeah.
Another thing I do need to watch is the new Hellraiser. We talked about it, and was like, well, you had this perfect opportunity to bring the girl in, right, the daughter, right? And it
Mhm.
sounds like they weren't doing that, and it was just literally a gender flip, and it was like, but the trailer looks so good though.
A friend of mine watched it and said it was really good, so I'm going to check it out.
Yeah, I have to. I got to do that too. But I'm kind of in watching Amazon's Jack Ryan, and I don't mind it. It's not bad. I like Jack Ryan.
It's good, but they haven't had a new season in what 2, 3 years now.
Well, they had the 2016 season, which I'm watching. Then there's another one,
Mhm.
2018. So there's plenty of
Yeah.
content.
Oh
But
yeah, but I was hoping for another season.
yeah, so you did enjoy it, yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
I'm enjoying it. I mean, they've definitely got one of every color, but that's about it
Mhm.
I've
Yeah.
seen so far. you know and I do like that they're going with the idea where or following the idea of his this is when he's younger, and it's when he meets with Greer, I think, his
Yeah.
superior, who he became friends with. And in the Harrison Ford movies, that was James Earl Jones
Right.
played the Greer character. I do like that continuation. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So far, though, I still feel Harrison nailed that character better than anyone. And didn't Kurt Russell do a Jack Ryan at one thing?
No, it
Who was
Alec
that?
Baldwin,
Alec Baldwin. You're right.
Harrison
Alec Baldwin.
Ford.
It was there. Alec
Um,
Baldwin. Chris
oh,
Pine.
Chris Pine,
Because they've
and
turned about
Oh,
eight or ten.
I
there was someone
forgot
else
about the
too.
Chris Pine. I forgot that existed. Ugh.
Yeah, it's not the greatest choice.
It's not. It really isn't.
Uh, it wasn't horrible though. It just kind of missed the point. Jack Ryan should not be a super handsome guy. He's
Did Ben
kind of
Affleck do one?
Yeah, maybe.
Yep.
That's something's
Yeah, he
confused
did
in
one
my
too.
brain. There was a few of them because they've done about 8 Jack Ryan movies. They're not all called Jack Ryan, but like Hunt
Mhm.
for the Red October is a Jack Ryan novel, right?
Yeah, that's
Um,
my favorite.
it is good. Sean Connery is Sean
Yeah,
Connery.
yeah.
It's got Damien in it too. Damn. Once again, do the young people know what I'm talking about?
No,
Probably not. But I do like the character, but I think Harrison Ford has done it best so far. What do you think, Eric?
yeah, I think so. He's been he's done the most of them for sure, but yeah, he's been the best character.
He
I
just
mean,
got it. He's like this
for Red October's
patriotic.
great, but it's because of Sean Connery, really.
It's true.
The
It's true.
Russian with the Scottish accent.
Yeah, I know it's so awesome, dude. Because you don't care at
No,
all.
no, you
Yeah.
don't.
But Jack Ryan is this kind of very patriotic, almost oddly innocent kind of character. He's
Hmm.
not goofy or awkward or clumsy, but he is.
Wholesome.
Yeah, it's hard to put a figure. If you've never read a Tom Clancy novel, what are you doing? I mean, there's like what 40 of them. Go
5
read one.
million of them.
Yeah,
Holy crap,
Yeah,
he wrote a
yeah.
lot.
yeah. I
Uh,
think precisely it's 38. I think.
he was very prolific. It's pretty easy to see with Harrison Ford. I mean, he's Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
It's one of these things. He's like the most successful, underrated guy of all time because he, for a long time, was the singular most successful male actor ever in the
Yeah.
history of cinema, and he doesn't get his flowers for that. But
Well, 'cause
every
he's
time he was in a
grumpy.
role, well, true. Every time he was in a role, he just dominated it. Like
Yeah. Yeah,
when,
he did.
especially from the late '70s to the mid '90s, he didn't miss. He just didn't miss, and it's shocking to me how much he's been overlooked even still. And even when he was at the top of the world, he still wasn't treated like that kind of star.
Yeah.
It's very weird. It's
Yeah.
very weird dichotomy of the way he's treated. I think it's largely his own doing because, like you said, he is very grumpy. He's not personable.
No, he's not.
Uh,
Yeah.
he doesn't like
Wrecks
people
airplanes on
much.
golf courses.
He
Yeah,
does.
yeah, he likes to
But
wreck airplanes.
he's not like your typical actor who the actor is himself in every role. Harrison
Right.
actually is different, and I think people don't
Right,
get
right.
that. But no, and Jack Ryan he's a good old American hero. I really love that character, and he's weird. It's like he's bumbling, but he's not.
Mm.
It's hard to put a finger on it, but Harrison
He's
found it
Clark Kent.
in a way. Yeah, he is Boy Scout. Yeah, um, but he definitely he found it because if you go watch Harrison Ford's Jack Ryan because I've read several of the books,
Yeah.
he nailed it, dude. He
Mhm.
nailed it.
Harrison is rumored to be signed on with Marvel now
Eh?
to be
What?
Thunderbolt Ross.
Uh?
I mean, 15 years ago, yeah. Harrison's old, guys. Like
Yeah.
old. Like
Mm,
real old.
yeah, I don't know that.
Supposedly they're wanting to introduce the Red Hulk. I forget the actor's name who played Thunderbolt Ross died.
Oh, did he? Oh.
Yeah, last year. So they're apparently going to replace him with Harrison. So
Well, go
Harrison
get.
won't have to do much, but maybe a lot
Harrison
of
is
CG.
80.
Yeah, but
I know.
What are
go
we
get
doing?
Ernie. Go get Ernie.
Yeah?
No, seriously,
Yeah?
he's still
Mhm.
alive. He's perfect.
Mhm.
Go get Ernie, dude.
Yeah.
The guy from uh, 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 oh goddamn, what was the name of that movie that made it famous? The war movie. Full Metal Jacket. Is that it?
I think
I
so.
think that's it. I can't remember his last name, but you would
Wait, who are you
recognize it.
talking about?
Talk about the drill sergeant.
He's dead.
Damn it.
He died a few years ago.
Well, then go get Ernest.
Arlie Ermy.
Arlie Erman, thank you. But then maybe you need Jim Varney. Is he dead?
He died too.
Damn it.
You know,
The Army Hammer then. Army Hammer for everything. That's what I say.
I can't do it with that guy. His name's ridiculous. He needs to change his name, and then I could take him seriously. But that name is
No
ridiculous.
kidding.
I
I
just
agree
think
with
Army
it's
you on
Hammer.
that.
because over here in Japan, he is a sex pot. The
He
Japanese
can't even.
ladies think he's so hot, dude.
He can't even just go by like his first initial in his name because that would be worse. A Hammer.
I am not the hammer.
That's
I
a
am
porn
a
star name.
hammer. It is, dude. Yeah, that is true. That is true. Arlie Ermy, thank you very much, Elrod. That sucks because he would be perfect as Thunderbolt Ross. That right there is the casting.
He would have been. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Who's the guy from who plays J. Jonah Jameson?
Oh, J.K. Simmons.
J.K.
Yeah.
Simmons. He would be cool, but he's already in the universe. that would be a good choice. And there's anybody but Harrison. I mean, that's not good casting anyway. He's
You
not
know who
that
they
type of
should
dude.
use,
Yeah.
and he's, as far as I know, he's still alive, and he's from Ohio. That's awesome. I didn't know that. Is Clancy Brown?
Oh yeah.
He'd make a
Yeah,
great Thunderbolt Ross.
put
Oh, he
Clancy in
would
there,
be.
dude. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got that voice, and he's big and imposing. Yeah,
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 no, I
I
agree
think
with that.
he's been in the MCU doing anything.
yeah. Exactly. He's perfect. He's a perfect kind of character actor for it too,
He's a
because
really good
he
actor too. He doesn't get That's another guy that doesn't get credit right there.
oh nowhere near enough credit, and he could easily give you that like dick that is Thunderbolt Ross, right? He could give you that energy. He's very good at playing that type of character. So I think
He
he'd be
does a
great.
little bit of everything. I mean, he does voice acting, TV
Yep.
shows,
Yep.
movies. He
Yep.
does everything.
Dumb's name reminds us that just use Sam Elliott again. Well, is he not dead yet?
I
No,
don't
he
think
is
so.
not dead yet.
Wow. Jesus. You know,
He is actually younger than Harrison Ford. He's only 78.
yeah, he
Still
wasn't
has a
horrible.
beautiful mustache.
Oh, he's a gorgeous man, yeah. But he he wasn't horrible as Thunderbolt Ross. It wasn't
No, he
bad. That
didn't.
was in Jenny's movie with what was that guy's name? He wasn't a bad
Jenny's
Hulk
movie.
either.
I like how it's Jenny's movie.
Jenny's movie with the American History X dude, yeah.
No, 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 not that was the other. That wasn't that one. It was the other guy.
It's the one from what's his name, the Asian
Eric
Oh,
director.
Bana. Eric Bana.
Yeah,
the
Eric
Yeah,
Bana.
Ang Lee movie.
yeah.
Yeah, which was okay. It was just way too long.
Yeah, I didn't mind it. I know it got a lot of hate, but it wasn't that bad, guys. I mean, come on.
We've seen how terrible it can get.
Oh yeah, we have. Yeah, yeah, because it was an actual, real, full movie, and it was trying very hard to be comic booky. And maybe that's
Mhm.
why people don't like it because it was trying to be comic booky, like in the old school way of doing comic book stuff. But I kind of like it. Oh well. Anyway,
Oh, who was his dad in that? Nick Nolte. Maybe Nick Nolte could be Thunderbolt Ross.
is he
Clean him
still
up.
around? Oh, you know. Oh no, no. I know who they need. Gary Busey's kid. What's his name?
Scott Busey?
Whatever. Gary Busey's
Yeah.
kid. That'll be his byline. But yeah, he's old enough. He could do it.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, he's actually way better. Well, Gary's a great actor, and then he had that. Was it him that had the brain damage, or was that Nick Nolte?
it was Gary.
It was Gary. Yeah, it was a shame. He's a really good actor. And he literally
Mhm.
broke his head open. But that was one of those karma thingies. Because wasn't he a guy that was constantly against helmets? He was like, oh, we don't need a stupid helmet. And then he literally wrecked his bike and broke his head open.
Oh, I didn't
Oh,
know that.
yeah.
I just thought he was crazy.
No, no, he has an actual brain damage. It's a real shame, dude.
Oh.
Yeah, because he was a solid actor. Anyway, I suppose I should get into it. We've been chit
Mm-hmm.
chatting here for a while, so let me go ahead and do that. But just having fun, enjoying ourselves. I do have sad news to start off today, though, and it's
Great.
news that well, it's I don't well. Let's just let Thunder do his thing. Go ahead.
The saddest of the sad news. Boy, you always give me these names. How do you say that? Kim
Kim
Young?
Jung Gi.
Kim Jung-gi dies at 47. Dang, that's way too young. Comic book world mourns famed cartoonist.
Now,
Way too young.
and that's why I put it up for two reasons. One, I've never heard of this guy ever, but
What?
Yeah.
I mean, look at his art. He is phenomenal, really, really good. He was supposed to go to Comic Con and he died. And 47 is ridiculously too young, dude. I mean, geez, I'm past that. Let's see. Do they tell us how he died? Let me see here. Unfamiliar
Heart
with
attack.
heart attack. Yeah. He's really, really good artist. Looks like he does some kind of anthropomorphized
Did
war
everything.
take stuff. At least what I'm looking at here. But damn, dude. Condolences to the family. That sucks, man.
Yeah, it's not fun.
No,
So
that's
apparently Clancy Brown was he Surtur in the Ragnarok? I believe he was.
was he?
He was the voice of Surtur, but nobody, who cares? Like,
Yeah,
nobody's gonna
yeah.
remember that, besides weirdos who care about that shit. Just let him be
That's what the show
Thunderbolt.
is, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, just us. We're the only people who care about that. He should definitely be Thunderbolt Ross. That's a perfect casting, I think, because one, he's got the look, he's got the age, and he's got that voice. We need more of his voice in cinema.
Yeah, Clancy would be a good choice. I agree. And I don't know what kind of shape he's in, but just my brain is saying yes. But anyway, I just I saw this in the Discord. And once again, thank you for everybody who throws things into the Discord. We appreciate it. If you guys have anything you want us to talk about or what have you, throw it in there. I do look at it, once a week. Yeah.
Now,
Uh,
Chester, if you
yeah.
notice there, I mean, what he's drawing right there, you see no pencil lines, right?
No, I
He's
don't.
going straight to ink. This guy
Yes.
could project what he was drawing onto the screen, or the big. He always saw him. I always saw him draw really big stuff. He never laid down pencil lines or perspective lines or anything. He just drew it straight out of his head.
Yeah, no, he is clearly very talented. Of course, they're also mentioning Loretta Lynn passed away. I didn't know that the coal miner's daughter was still about. And to be fair, I doubt that any of the young people even know who she is or how important she was. I
It's
doubt
probably
that.
true.
Yeah. But just a shout out to Loretta as well.
Mhm.
But he's just way too young, and he's so talented. It's a shame. Condolences to the family, man. Yeah. But anyway, you guys ready? Here we go.
Chris Pratt's debut as title hero in the Super Mario Brothers movie trailer widely panned on social media,
Uh,
which
yeah.
it was always going to be. There was literally no way he could have done a voice. Not because he doesn't have the talent or anything. It wouldn't have mattered. It could have been pitch perfect, and there would have been huge backlash because these people hate Chris Pratt.
Hmm.
There are a lot of people out there who just have a vehement hatred of this man.
Yeah.
They probably can't quantify why if you were to ask them, and they don't want to. They want to hate him. That's what they want to do, so that's what
Hmm.
they do.
Yeah.
Now, in fairness, I heard it. I watched the trailer. It wasn't the best thing I've ever heard in my life,
I'm going to
but
listen to it. So.
a big part of the reason why they wanted to go this way is one, I'm sure the studio wanted a big name, and it doesn't get any bigger than Chris. And two, they need somebody who can act for a whole movie. And the
Hmm.
guy who does the voice work for Mario, they don't think can do that.
Hmm.
Now, whether they're right or wrong is largely immaterial because it's their decision. So we'll find out how it pans out. As long as everything else around him is spot on, I really don't think it'll matter.
Yeah. It's either good or it's not. I mean, it's that
Yeah.
simple. But of course, at this moment, everybody will be like, "Ooh, Chester made a joke earlier and it came back and it connected. Ooh, but it was ruined by by Eric." So you've
Yeah.
noticed the pattern in my brain, have you? Alrighty, fine. But
Wait, does Mario have too many fingers here?
I kind of
Do you
feel
have
I feel
three?
so. He has four. I do believe you're right. I don't know 100%, but I do want to listen to it in a moment. But I have to follow this headline up by another headline because it's perfect.
Host of canceled Game Master revival Robert Florence has unhinged meltdown over backlash to Chris Pratt's voice in the Super Mario Brothers movie trailer. Give it a effing rest for 5 minutes, you effing Poindexter Fs. FKSs, actually.
Yes,
Because we censored it.
yes, and fair enough, right?
I
Fair
actually
enough.
agree. I think people
Yeah.
are being way too harsh on it. Um, let's see what the movie looks like because it looks really good. Like the art style is perfect. Jack Black as Bowser sounds amazing, and Bowser looks cool. Like everything looks very similar to very similar to my okay to to Sonic, right? Remember when Sonic? Not the first time we saw Sonic. The first time was a travesty. The second time we saw Sonic, it has that same energy to it, right? And which is obviously what they were going for. So I hope it's actually as good as it looks. Unfortunately, it's coming from a studio that has a spotty past, from my understanding. So we'll see. But I really think people need to just put their pitchforks down a bit and
Yep.
let's see what happens.
I agree. And I did go check while you were talking, Eric. Well, Thundero's talking, Eric. Although I see a couple examples of him with three fingers, in general, they're all standard human hands. So
Wow.
I guess because I saw that
Oh,
too, and I was
Mandela.
like, hmm. But
Mandela.
maybe, yeah.
That's what it is.
But Mandela effect. Anyway, let's listen to it. Let's see. So here's the official trailer. So I haven't listened to this. I haven't seen it. It's not like something I'm going to run to anyway. But let's take a look. Bet you my kids will. Although I'm actually the Super Mario generation, aren't I? It looks good, dude.
Everybody's a Super Mario generation, Chester.
That's fair. That is fair. Looks pretty good, dude.
It does, I'm telling you.
Is someone going to get busy with Peach finally? That's what I want to know.
Behold, the king of the Koopas!
That is true. He is King Koopa.
Right. The one and the only.
It looks.
the gates!
That's Jack Black?
That's Jack
Yeah.
Black.
Jesus. I don't know where the penguins are coming from, but it's perfect. It's perfect.
That is but a taste of our fury. Do you yield? I do not.
Oh, there you go. That's Jack. Oh, dude. Damn.
I
Oh,
finally
Godzilla
found it.
mode.
Now who's gonna stop me?
Here we go. Just got away from fighting Donkey Kong and ends up in a mushroom place. I get it. I understand, dude. I feel for you.
What is this place?
Do not touch that mushroom, you'll die! Oh, I'm sorry. That one's perfectly fine. Come on, Mario!
Mushroom Kingdom, here we come.
That sounds fine to me.
Yeah, I don't think it's that bad.
No, it sounds like Mario. Huh. Luigi. No, we don't need Luigi.
Oh no, the Luigi hate.
No, that sounded fine. What's the problem?
He doesn't sound like the voice actor. Like he's not a one for one. He's not basically that they wanted the guy who's always been Mario to be Mario in the movie.
I get that.
And I understand that, but
yeah.
I also understand why they're going with Chris Pratt because he's Chris Pratt.
Yeah, and actually did sound like Mario though.
Does the guy that usually do the voice, is he Italian?
Probably not.
No.
He's probably some Pole.
They're also mad that Chris Pratt isn't Italian, as well as one of the first things that came out. Plus that he's a Christian. That's the main thing.
They can go to hell with that, dude. They can go
Yeah.
straight to hell with that nonsense. Yeah, okay, it's the same one. Okay, but French version, I see.
I think it looked cute.
It's meant to be a bad movie.
My wife's upset that they're making a new Mario Brothers movie because the original Mario Brothers movie was perfect because it was so terrible. And she
Wow.
doesn't want them to ruin the legacy of the bad movie.
She's one of them. I see.
It was bad. It was really bad.
It was, but it's also a guilty pleasure, though, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
It's so bad you have to enjoy it for what it is. You just have to because it's just terrible, just horrible from beginning to end.
yeah, no, that's true. But you know, though we do love those kind of B or see great things. Let's see what Judith, ghoul of your dreams, has to say. This is literally the funniest possible outcome. He said he was spending a bunch of time working on it. Clearly, he did. He
I got
said
a
it
live
would be a new take on Mario. He said it wouldn't be his normal voice, and it is. No, it's not. It's clearly him doing Mario. It's clear. I mean,
Yeah,
did you
it's not his
not
normal voice.
listen? I
His normal
mean,
voice is deeper than that, for one. Um,
yeah, but I
yeah,
mean,
it's
let's
not his
go
normal
back
voice
to
at
it
all.
here.
Here we come.
Here we come. That was very Mario right there, right? It's not his normal voice at all. I'm actually impressed. I didn't know he could do those kind of things. So no, ghoul of your dreams. These people and their Twitter handles. It's like they're so unaware. Are you not? Butt Blaster 58. Maybe you shouldn't be commenting on CNN News. Um,
Is Donald going to be Luigi again?
No.
Then I don't
no,
believe
fuck Luigi.
Chester would like you to know that
Luigi.
his official opinion on or position on Luigi is fuck Luigi.
Yes. hmm hmm
I don't know. Why don't you like Luigi? The wife would like to know.
We don't need him.
He's not needed.
He's unnecessary.
He
Let's.
literally only exists because they needed a different color for the second player.
That's right.
So
That's exactly right. It's just simply his side costume. Daisy Alpaca, once again. Yeah, no. The entire premise of Mario is he's Italian. Is it? You see Mario and you think pasta. Do I?
How backwards is that shit?
To erase his voice, such a key part of his persona is disrespectful, considering every other appearance. Well, he did sound Italian, though. Italian accents is mocked in the media. Mario is a 100% mocking stereotype of Italians. Thank you very much.
So,
God,
I
stupid people.
I hope that person is trolling. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, so they are. Because
Her name is Alpaca.
exactly. Because do they keep the same energy for all of the race swaps? Because this isn't even a race swap. Chris Pratt's white and Mario's white, so it's a culture swap at best. But do they keep the same energy? Right? Do they make that same argument whenever they do? They do the ginger genocide and they turn some ginger into some sub-Saharan African, like just full-on dark as night person. Is it the same energy then, or is that okay because
I
it's
don't know.
something racism?
And someone mentioned butt love, and here's Alan. Great, Alan.
But look at what else she
Mushroom
says.
Kingdom, here we come.
That sounds correct, though, right? They're complaining about this.
Mushroom Kingdom, here we come.
That sounds
Doesn't
like
sound
Mario.
like Chris Pratt. Yeah, that
It
sounds
doesn't. Yeah. Can someone do me a quick check and see if the original voice actor of Mario, what is his nationality? Because I thought for sure I saw some Towski on there.
Probably.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't.
He's French.
He's French.
Oh.
Perfect. It's perfect. Let's see what whatever the hell this emoji is. It's so effed up how Charles Martinet, French, has to sit there and just watch someone voice a character he's been voicing. I understand that argument though. Nothing to the table. The most lifeless before. How would you know, little girl? It's probably not a girl. It's probably a very, very fat, hairy man in the basement. Did I just go neckbeard? Did I do that? I did. Shane Lewis. Well, at least your name is normal, and you got a check mark, so you must be important. Look, folks, let's be real. Charles Martinet cannot do the iconic Mario voice for the video game for an entire film. Well, I don't know why he couldn't. It works for short bits in the game series, but would be an incredibly annoying voice in a film. There is a reason he rarely
was
speaks in
impossible.
cutscenes.
Improbable, maybe. Impossible.
Well, they
Yeah,
go on.
It's interesting how much these people are going on and on and on and on and on. The French dub does have a Mario actor or a Mario voice that sounds very, very much like Mario from the games. But it's a much ado about nothing, to be honest.
Okay. Okay, okay, it is a little more.
Touche pas à ce
It
champignon,
is a bit
Stéphane!
closer, yeah.
Oh, autant pour moi. Celui-là, c'est
Well, the
bon.
next part is where you can
Tu
really
viens,
hear it.
Marion?
Right here.
Royaume champignon, nous voilà!
There you go.
It is. But I think
Yeah.
what he did was more reminiscent of what they did in the movie
Yeah.
with that amazing actor. Who was the guy who played Mario in the movie? Such an awesome actor. What damn it?
Are you serious?
He is a really good actor. I'm not talking about that movie in particular. I'm talking
Not that movie, he's not, but another
Oh, I'm
movie.
saying the I mean, isn't he the guy that originated the Latinx?
I don't know, but I know he's a really good actor.
Oh, he's oh wait, I'm gonna find his damn name.
But you talking about the guy who played Mario, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Bob Hoskins.
Bob Hoskins.
Oh, I'm
is in
thinking
it.
of the one that played
Yeah,
Luigi then, right?
Yeah, you're thinking
Oh,
of
no.
Leguizamo.
And Leguizamo
Okay.
is an absolutely deranged lunatic.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes. Bob Hoskins was a great actor.
yeah, Bob
Yeah, he
Hoskins
passed,
is
unfortunately.
freaking awesome. And so, what Chris Pratt is doing more of a Hoskins voice than the original Mario. But who cares? It's recognizable. You don't know the movie anyway. And okay, people. I will say though that when things go into other languages, a lot of things do change when they dub it. And for instance, if it's anything associated with even close to being animated, here in Japan, that you can't find a subtitle version of it. They dub it all because it's deemed for children. Therefore, they
Right.
dub it. And I'll give you a good example. Beauty and the Beast came out, which I didn't watch the movie, but I saw clips. Emma Watson cannot sing to save her life,
No.
which she's a cute girl, I guess. Her face is cute. But her playing Belle, okay, fine. But at least get someone who can sing. Here in Japan, the dub version, the girl who does Belle is an amazing singer. And just for some interesting, and I'm sure you can find it in other languages as well, go listen to the Japanese songs from Beauty and the Beast, and then listen, juxtaposed next to Emma Watson. My God, dude.
Yeah.
My God, it's I don't get that. Why did they put Emma in that when she can't? Because I don't have anything against Emma. She's a moron, but there's a lot of morons in the world. But I'm not against her getting work. But why would you put her in a movie when she can't sing? It's a musical, dude.
I don't know. The same reason why you would make a movie with Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone and have them try to sing and dance, and neither of them are any good at it.
Yeah, well, that's
And then
Broadway,
have
though. That's a bit.
then have all the critics. No, it was a movie. And then have all the critics pretend like that was just the best thing since, I don't know, Singing in the Rain, right? That was the best musical
wow.
in 70 years.
Yeah.
Some of these people were saying ridiculous nonsense like that. And I
Well,
hate musicals, but if you're going to do one, at least do it right. Holy crap.
well,
Don't do this nonsense.
I was saved from having to watch that because my wife
Yeah,
hates
ring the
musicals
lips on.
as well. She doesn't understand. Why are they walking in the middle of the street and all of a sudden singing? It's weird. She's right. It's correct.
No, it happens all the time here in the States.
They just don't know us.
Especially when we're going to rumble.
That's right. Especially when we're going to rumble. We break out on not only in the song, but dance.
Yeah.
We do. We definitely do. And the funny thing is, of course, we're joking, but in a way we're not, because flash mobs are a very American thing.
Mm.
And they do exist. And I love them.
Oh, God.
Come on, it's cool, dude. For like 100 people who've practiced hard over months to show up in an area and just do something. It's cool. Come on.
It's the entertainer. I'll be diplomatic. The entertainer in you, Chester. That's why you like it so much.
It is. But I just respect it. We
It
Americans.
can be cool. It depends on which one it is. Some of them just look dumb, but sometimes it looks pretty cool. I'll give you that.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about the ones that are actually they put heart and soul into it.
Yeah.
But
Nothing I would do, but I do enjoy watching it. It does seem fun.
yeah, it does seem fun. It's something I would do. But if I had time to actually practice it, but I wouldn't just jump in. America, we you can look at us and what we do well and what we don't do well, but the one thing we are number one actually in the world at is entertainment. That is our shtick. We're really good at it.
Mhm.
So Yeah, which is kind of depressing when you're seeing so much of this really, really poor. Because I've been watching foreign films and older films because there's so little new stuff to watch, but it just points it out even stronger. It shows how poorly written and acted these things are. We Americans used to absolutely own that shit. And look at what we're doing now. It's embarrassing, dude.
Well, I still say this last year's been really good. It's been the first good year in Hollywood, like good whole year in Hollywood in probably 15 years. But this year's been pretty good. I'd say probably like 2007, 2008 was the last time we had a really good whole year where just every month there was something good out or something that was at least not terrible out, right? And that's refreshing because it's been a very long time. And it's weird, right? It's the simple things that the older movies did just with seemingly effortlessly that the new ones for over a decade now have had great struggle to pull off, and that's one of the reasons why they suck. They're not created by this with the same level of competency at any level. The only thing that's gotten remarkably good, probably better in many respects, is like the shot quality and like the audio quality. But that's just a technological thing more than anything. That's got very little to do with competence of the actual people making the movies.
Right.
So I think that's what we've been seeing, but I honestly do think it's starting to turn around. Like I said, this year I have not missed yet. Every movie I've went to the theater to watch, I've enjoyed. Some I've really enjoyed, or I've at least didn't hate, and I would have watched it. I'd watch it again at home, if it came on TV or something,
Sure.
something like that. Yeah, especially like Bullet Train. You saw Bullet Train. My
Yeah,
wife
it
and
was
I went
great
and
fun.
saw Bullet Train just as something to do one night, and it was just good. It was just a good
Yeah,
movie,
but
just
that
fun to
movie
watch.
is a bit different than, say, Maverick, because Bullet
Yes.
Train is clearly anti-woke.
Yep.
It's
Where
it's done
Maverick is
it's
just
done clever in a clever way, but it is definitely anti-woke.
and
Uh,
Maverick is just evergreen. It's
it's
going to be
just
one
a
of these
movie.
movies
Yeah.
that will whole generations will remember, just like
Well,
Top Gun. It's
dude,
amazing they pulled that off 30 years apart.
it is, and that third act is ridiculously good. Um,
Yeah.
and honestly, I like the relationship he had in Maverick more than the one in Top Gun. I think they fleshed it out much better.
Yep.
Yeah, no, it's a really solid flick, and with an amazing third act. But just kind of going back to that kind of stuff, though, with the musical stuff here, there are plenty of great fun musical movies, and speaking of John Leguizamo, Eric and I are old enough to have seen him when he wasn't a lunatic,
Oh
right?
yeah, he used to be a decent actor.
And it used to be fun, but
He turned into a
now.
jerk.
Well, the thing is, he basically
Bitter.
has joined in body and soul La Raza, is what he's done.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And it's ridiculous because when you go listen to his last stand up, because I pained myself through it, by the way, it is just full bigotry, right? And here's the problem with La Raza and all the Mexicans and the other Hispanics. They act like they're natives when they're just as much a conqueror as any other person in the Americas, right? And I'm not going to get into the fact that there are already white people there. I'm not. I'm going to stay. I'm not going to do it. Okay.
Gotta stay
But
off of it.
I'm going to stay off of it. However, the conquistadors and the military that came in, compared to the settlers that came into the north, it progressed in a very different way. Right, the settlers didn't mix with the locals until way later when
Right.
mixing started happening. The conquistadors were mixed day one because they just
Yep.
killed the men and took the women, and they sit there
That's
and
right.
act like they're natives. Yeah, as much as I am. I mean, we are native technically, but are we indigenous? But that's how La Raza goes. And if you go listen to John Leguizamo's days, he's a native. These are his lands. You white people get out. And it's like, how fucking
No.
delusional are you, dude? No, seriously,
Yeah,
that's how bad John is now.
yeah, he's horrible.
It's
It's a
it's
shame.
it's
The
sad.
mind virus
He
got him.
used
Yeah.
don't you remember when he was Chi-Chi?
Yep. I remember it.
What
I
happened,
John
John?
Leguizamo used to be one of those like he was A-list technically for a while, but I would say he was much more of a B-list supporting actor who would always kill it.
But an
Right? He was one of
A-list
those guys.
comedian though. He was really good at that.
Yeah, but when he would get in a role, he would always kill it, right? And he's won Oscars
You
even,
knew
I
he
think,
was
hasn't
going
he?
to do a good job. It'd be fun to
Yeah.
watch
That's
him.
right.
Even
That's
in
right.
John Wick, he does a good job. The John Wick series that he's part of, he does fine. He doesn't, there's nothing offensive about his performance at all. He does his job, and he gets in and he gets out, basically. And that's why it's such a shame to watch somebody like him, who has all of this talent and this skill as an actor and as a performer, just fall to what I call the mind virus, because that's the way it is. It's the way it treats you. It tears you down,
It does.
makes you into a baser version of yourself than what
Yeah,
you should be, and it's a shame.
it is a shame. But anyway, let's go ahead and move on from this. I haven't talked about it, and I hadn't seen anything about it, so I figured I should. And I feel like I should watch the movie after that trailer, though, because it looks good.
It look good. It genuinely looks good.
I mean, I don't usually kind of lean toward kid stuff, but because I don't have kids in the house anymore. But
But
I
it's
went.
Mario.
It is Mario, and we did grow up with it. But I did go see the first Sonic movie, and it was fun.
So much fun.
It was a
And
fun
this
movie.
looks
Yeah, it
like it's
definitely
going to be
was.
fun, right? That's what the selling point is for this movie. Is it looks like it's going to be fun. What they've shown us looks fun. It looks like the tone is correct, at least in the trailer. I like how ominous they made Bowser feel, because he should. He's the bad guy. It's just they seem to have, just like the Sonic movie, they've gotten the way it should feel right when I
Yeah,
look at it.
yeah, yeah.
And that's where a lot of video game movies, that's where all of them in fact fall apart, is they never get the feel of it right. And
Yeah.
this one does.
Because they're afraid to put that into a movie, and it's like, what are you doing? That's why it's popular. No, it's a perfect
Exactly.
point. And no, you're right, Alan. Leguizamo as the Violator, he was the best thing in the movie. Yes,
Yeah.
he was.
Great.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
He
That wasn't a great movie, but he was good.
No, he was freaking phenomenal, dude. As the Violator for sure. But that's Spawn, by the way, everybody. But anyway, let's go ahead and move on here to, like I said, I want to keep things lighthearted today, so let's do that.
10 Super Mario Brothers characters.
Hmm.
Well, obviously number 1 is the man himself.
Of course, but that's okay, because everybody here has played Mario. It's impossible that you haven't played a Mario.
It's
Now, you know,
it's interesting over here in the chat. Dave makes a good point. I actually saw this interview recently because I went on this Sylvester Stallone Rocky rabbit hole. I
uh-huh.
went down for a week or so, and just picking apart his mind, because the man's brilliant. It's a shame that he kind of just went and only did action movies, because he has the mind of a great director, but he never really got to really be that. But I'm sure he'll cry himself to sleep with his hundreds of millions of dollars.
I'm sure.
Um,
And beautiful
but
young wife. Yeah.
yeah, but my point is like Dave said in an old interview, he said he wrote Rocky because Hollywood forgot how to make movies with people, with basically how to make movies with heroes people could root for. And that's exactly what Rocky is, right? That's why that movie works, because you're supposed to fall in love with Rocky and cheer for him.
Yeah, you're supposed
Um,
to, and we do. That's true.
and that's exactly what he pulled off. And Hollywood forgot that again. And
Well,
I think this year we've started to see the correction from new blood coming in, who just want to make heroes again. They just want their heroes back, because
yeah,
Hollywood has been just depressing for a very long time. The heroes have not been heroic. If anything, they've been villainous half the time. They're selfish, narcissistic crybabies who just things work out for them because the script demands it so. And I'm sick of it. And I think that a lot of people are sick of it. And I think
yeah,
we're starting to see that shift where the heroes are, heroic again.
yeah,
That
right.
crazy old idea.
Yeah, no, I agree. And the thing with Sylvester is, he's done a lot of stuff, but I think he's wrapped his career up very well. Keep in mind he's 76 years old. He's a very old man. But the Rocky, the way he ended with Creed, beautiful, good job. And that the last Rambo movie I watched here recently, and the very end of the third act has the kind of Home Alone on steroids thing in it, but I get why they did that. But it's a solid movie. And it just got torn apart by the critics, and I'm like, why? That's a really good acting performance put on by everybody. And the thing I think a lot of people miss, as with Rocky, Rambo is a drama first.
Right.
It
So
is,
is Rocky.
yeah. So is
Which he
Rocky.
makes sure to point out, because people always call it a sports movie, and he goes, "No, I don't make sports movies." Those are dramas.
Those are absolute dramas. And
Yeah.
Sylvester is the best acting action hero we've ever had. Let's be
Yeah,
honest, right?
he is.
You know,
It's like I said, it's a real shame that he didn't get to be more of a director. He didn't get to be behind the camera more.
like Mel did,
Um,
right?
yeah, because I think he would have been like a Mel or a Clint. I think easily he has that same
Yeah,
mind for how to make films.
yep.
Right? He just has it, and it's a shame because, like you said, he's 76. So I think that ship has sailed.
He's definitely. I just think he's wrapping up his career, and I appreciate it. Although, speaking of the man, Clint Eastwood, I noticed on Netflix there's a new Clint Eastwood movie. God,
Yeah, he's in his 90s. He's still
yeah,
pumping out movies. Insane.
but his movies these days are all about the kind of retrospective, introspective kind of look at his life. They're not as interesting as the earlier stuff, but that's all right. Let's get into
Mhm.
this.
The
So,
last one I watched was pretty boring. That was The Mule, I think.
yeah, I didn't see that. I didn't see that. He's got into that introspective phase, and I'm not really interested. I'll go. I just watched sometime in the past month. I watched High Plains Drifter again. Damn,
Oh, there you go.
Amazing. Truly
he
amazing.
he literally rapes a woman in that movie, and he's the
Yeah,
hero.
that's right.
Yeah, which is a bold move, Cotton. Bold move. But anyway, let's. Pale Rider was a better version of it anyway. But anyway, moving on here. So we got there are a lot of Mario characters. We all know Mario. We've all played Mario. Obviously, Mario himself will be number one. But I'm curious as to what Frank will put it. We've determined that Frank has been put on. This is
Frank.
his job.
Hmm.
Frank, you're the top 10 dude. Okay, Frank. And we'll see. We give him a lot of shit. Maybe we should give him some slack. He's clearly younger, and let him work his way into it here. Okay, here we go. So let's see. Waluigi. Hmm.
Mm.
Hmm.
Yep. Next.
I didn't even know that was a character.
Well, being in 10 might be okay if the rest of the 9 are good.
Makes
Because he's
sense.
not a,
Yeah.
he's not a great character.
Yeah. Well, I played the original, but I did watch my kids play Mario World, I think it was called, or Mario Planet, or something like that. And It actually seemed like a fun game. The kids enjoyed it. I don't even know this character. Oh, okay. I think I know this character. She's the
Hmm.
golf girl, isn't she?
Mm. I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. And she's like a princess, I think. It's like Peach's sister or cousin or something, isn't it?
I
Something
think
like
she's
that.
related to Peach, yeah.
Yeah. Because I remember with the Nintendo Wii, they had this character, and that was a fun. I enjoyed the Wii. I actually we got her parents who were really old, right? Who actually played the Wii with the kids. That was kind of
Oh.
cool. Yeah. It was cute. But yeah, I recognize this character. Okay, fine. She's the golf girl. All right. Mm, all right. Wario. Okay. Now
Audio.
I do recognize this character. I don't know where the hell he's from, but I do recognize Wario.
I don't know when he popped up either. He's been around for a long time now, though, and he's
Yeah.
had his own games and stuff. So he fits. He belongs. Absolutely.
Let me see if they tell us. They don't tell us. He's created as a dark, evil version of Mario. Obviously, I mean that's one of the successes of Nintendo's Mario is it's so simple, right? It's that they don't get deep. It's very simple and as it should be. But I know this character anyway. Let's see here, Yoshi. Okay,
Ooh.
now
Wow.
She
only
should
He's
be
way up.
higher.
seven. Only
He's
seven.
way up on the list. Yeah, I thought he'd be in the top three.
Yeah, I would think
Uh,
so. Yeah.
obviously everybody knows good old Yoshi,
Hmm.
the dinosaur that you ride slash is also sentient, so that's kind of weird. But it's Mario, so nobody cares.
Right. He
Uh,
eats
yeah, Yoshi's a
things,
good time. He eats things
and
with his big long tongue. Oop,
I
oop.
think he's actually a transgender character.
God.
No, no, I think
What?
originally he was. It's
Do
actually
you
a
mean?
female. It's not a male.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. But he got treated. I just said he got treated much more male after the initial release. But yeah, Eric. I mean, come on, Yoshi's awesome.
Yoshi's great. He's one of my favorite characters to play, especially when when you get one of the games where you get to choose the characters and stuff. He was fun.
Yeah, Mario Kart. I like Yoshi,
Oh yeah.
because I played that with my kids quite a bit. I noticed my daughter was playing some PlayStation game. I think it was Yoshi Yarn, or Yarn Yoshi, or some kind of yarn thing. It had literally yarn.
Hmm.
But It was like a quilted Yoshi. I'm pretty sure that was Yoshi game. Yoshi's Island was good. Yeah, my kids played a lot of Mario stuff. Of course, here in Japan, Nintendo is king. I wonder, do Westerners think Sony is PlayStation is king here? I wonder.
Well, yeah, but it's
Yeah,
not. Nintendo is
it
king,
is
and
definitely not. Yeah,
the
Nintendo.
reality is Nintendo is king. Period. Their
Yeah,
numbers dwarf everybody else's numbers.
dude,
They
the
just, for some reason,
Switch
don't get the
was
credit. Oh,
monstrously huge. Did the Switch?
huge,
Yeah.
huge. Which is
There.
funny because they don't focus on all the things that gamers say they care about, yet they're still by far the most successful. They don't care really about the graphics or the cutting edge sound or any of that nonsense. I mean, they do it, but that's not what their focus is. Their focus is just on fun games that anybody can play.
Oh,
And that's what you get.
Josh was correcting me. It's not Yoshi. It's Birdo is the trans one.
Okay. Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought so. I thought Yoshi was
Yeah.
he's
Well,
a good
Yoshi
boy.
is a boy's name.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay, so I stand corrected. Also, another correction. I don't know if I've already apologized for this, but I'll do it again if I have not already. I made a mistake a couple of weeks ago. I think I said this last week, but I did make a mistake a couple of weeks ago when you and I were having a conversation about Jeffrey Dahmer and how it
Hmm.
was weird because he's very charismatic. I was wrong. It's Ted Bundy. I
Oh yeah, yeah,
confused
yeah,
them.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
I
Ted
I
Bundy.
confused.
thought when you were talking about that, I was like, I thought that was Bundy.
Yeah, no,
Maybe it
I was
wasn't. I have to go
wrong.
look
I
at that.
was wrong. Yeah, it's definitely Ted Bundy. I confused the two. I do. They're both blonde. Sue me.
Yeah.
Uh,
Psychotic.
yeah, and psychotic as serial killers. But I was wrong. It was the Dahmer. Although that Jeffrey Dahmer thing is getting a lot of attention for all the wrong reasons. That is an incredibly woke series. Have you guys watched that?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, they've
Yeah, we
twisted it.
finished it.
Yeah, they've twisted everything into being all anti-black. It's all about the black people, and the reality was Jeffrey Dahmer. He actually loved black men. He murdered them and ate them, but he found them beautiful. He wasn't racist. It's quite the
No, no, he
opposite.
wasn't. No.
Yeah.
And the lady they have in that show that's supposedly his neighbor did not even live in the same building as him.
Well, she didn't. She's not even a real character. She's an
No,
amalgam.
no, she's a real person, and her niece is the one that did call the police on Dahmer when that one kid was out naked in the street. But she lived in the building next door and never met Dahmer at all.
Yeah, well, and also he wasn't in a building, he was in a house.
Oh, he was in an apartment building.
Pretty sure he was in a house.
Oh, they actually did tear down that apartment building. Yeah.
Did they? Okay, well, I was wrong. But whatever. It's typical Hollywood bullshit. I mean, but something like that, you shouldn't mess with those kind of things. But they do. I don't. I never understood the obsession with serial killers. Anyway, at least Gacy had ice cream. That's true, Alan. That's true. Yeah. But I would have put Yoshi higher than this. But anyway, let's see
Would
what
it
we
too?
got. Yeah, Toad. Well, he's been around forever. I mean, he is kind of the Toady.
Yep. Good old Toad, but no, Yoshi should be above Toad.
Oh,
Simple as
Oh yeah,
that.
absolutely,
definitely.
absolutely. Although he has been around a long time, he is a pivotal character. Fine.
Hmm. Looks like in the movie he's going to be like the guide to Mario too, so that's interesting.
Oh yeah, no, no, as you should be. It makes sense, right? Because
Yeah.
I correct me if I'm wrong, Eric, but from because I only really played the original. Well, not the original, the Super Mario, not the one, the Donkey Kong one. Well, I played Donkey Kong too, but anyway, I always had a feeling that Mario was based on the Wizard of Oz.
Mm.
and
Could
Mario
be.
showing up in Toadland, where the not the Toadland, the Mushroom Land, that they were the Munchkins.
Oh, I can see that. Yeah.
I always felt that it
And,
was
it could be.
yeah. So makes sense. Anyway, Yoshi's definitely
Toad in Mario Party, he's the one that guides you through the game.
is he? Yeah, that's kind of what he's always been. He's kind of that dude, when they started putting a narrative in it, because the original stuff had no narrative, right? It's just a
Right.
game, it's a side scroller. There's no narrative at all.
Jump and squash.
Hmm?
Jump and squash.
Jump and squash, yeah. But when they started putting narrative in, which is great, and another thing I'm kind of curious: has there ever been a full-fledged Mario cartoon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There has been.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because there definitely should be.
Be right back real quick.
Okay. Let's see here. Donkey Kong. Well, now we're talking about Mario here. Now, let me go back up. Let me go back up. Let me just check the title, Frank. Top 10 Super Mario Brother characters. All right. So, what am I doing here? Stop it. Okay. Now, Donkey Kong is not a Super Mario Brother character. I mean, we all know Mario comes out of Donkey Kong. We get that. We get that, Frank. But Donkey Kong himself is not a Super Mario character, is he?
He's been incorporated into the party games and the fighting games as
And the
one of the
Mario
characters.
Kart, yeah. So he's a Nintendo character, but is
I
he a?
would I wouldn't consider him a Mario character, but I figured he was going to be on the list.
Yeah, I don't agree with Frank in this. He's not a Super Mario Brothers character. He's just not. Hmm. 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 All right. Fine, Frank. Let's move on here. Peach. Now, I think 4 is a good place for Peach. What do you think? She is
Yeah.
important. I know she's playable in later games, but kind of like Zelda's playable in later games as well, right? But yeah, no, I think she's 4 is good.
So I still had my headset on, but I had to use the restroom. So Donkey Kong, no. I had this conversation, I think it was with Grimlock a couple weeks ago or a week ago, that it bothers me that Donkey Kong's put into Mario's like world because he's not really at all. If anything, Mario's in his world. It's his
Yeah,
game that Mario debuts in.
well, he's the hero
Uh,
there.
yeah,
You're right, Alan. But it's something like Mario Kart though. It's just Nintendo characters. Or
right.
Smash Brothers. It's Nintendo characters and other stuff
Right.
too. So I don't
I don't
mind
think
that.
Donkey Kong's ever been in an actual Super Mario Brothers game.
No, nor should he be. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he has not. As far as I know, no, he never has been.
Yeah. Joshua says he likes it when Peach is playable. Yeah, why not? I'm just wondering when she's going to get some action. Because and more than likely they just don't talk about it because Koopa's taken her a bunch of times, and he seems like the dude that would take
She keeps
advantage.
somehow getting captured.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Oh, I just happened to go down the ladder.
Uh-huh.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. She likes the Koopa. Ooh. Poor Mario. Let's not talk about it. That's he's what was that? Does that make Mario a cuckold?
Yes, he's cooked very much by a big dragon monster turtle man.
That's why she's into it. That's what it is. You know how the girls are.
I will
these
be right
days.
back, gentlemen.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Let's see what we got for 3 here. Bowser. Well, okay, he should be in the top 3 somewhere.
He should be number 2, to be honest, but sure.
Probably.
That just
Yeah.
means Luigi's number 2.
It is obviously Luigi and Mario.
Yeah, and then
we
Mario.
get it. We get it.
I would flip Luigi and Mario around, even though I'm with you. I'm not a big Luigi guy either. But I mean, obviously he's important. He's the other brother.
Mhm.
But Mario is the star, and he always has been the star. And it's because he's just a good boy. He's a good boy who fights the bad boy, and that's it. That's all he had to be. He's
very
wholesome.
simple. Yeah.
He's chipper. He's inspirational in a way. And there's nothing offensive except for people who are looking for reasons to be offended about Mario or his characterization. It's obviously a caricature of an Italian man.
Right.
But so what? Why can't we're not allowed to have caricatures anymore? What the hell?
Storytelling bread and butter is caricature. You can
Yeah,
you can say 1,000 words in a second,
exactly.
right?
One image,
In one
boom.
image, one word out of the mouth. I mean, caricature is, and this is something that we listen to all these complaining that people do, these idiots these days. But it's like you do realize that humans objectify
Everything.
everything.
Yeah,
It's
all the
how our
time.
brain
Constantly.
works, dude. It's how
Yeah,
our brain works. You can't not objectify and therefore judge something. It's
that's right.
it's it's part of survival, dude. What is wrong with these people, man? Anyway,
They're very, very stupid.
yeah. But Bowser is a great character, and it's neat that he's got of course, all the Koopas you fight, the little shell heads you fight in the game. He's a good character. He's fun. He's simple. And Jack Black sounded good, dude. I'm
He
shocked.
sounded really good.
Yeah.
Really, really good.
Uh,
Hopefully it's as good as it looks. Like I said, they haven't been missing much for me this year, at least what I've seen. Obviously, there's been trash that I've refused to see, like Thor and Doctor Strange and things like that. But the ones I've actually taken my time to go and watch, I've enjoyed, and I think we're going to carry into next year the same way.
yeah.
And this movie looks good. The art style's good. The characters look and act the way they should. I'm very, very pleased because Mario's important, right? He's one of those
Sure.
guys.
Sure. Yeah.
It's one of those franchises that gaming. It's not really a stretch to say that gaming as we know it would not exist without Mario. That's a fact. In
Oh yeah.
fact,
No, it is.
Nintendo was teetering on the brink of basically being in a serious, serious financial trouble, maybe even potential bankruptcy, if they didn't hit with the NES and Mario hit.
He did.
Huge.
Well, they've done that
Humongous.
several times, dude. They pull their
Yeah,
bacon out of the fire a lot, actually, over the years. And it's funny that Nintendo's always the innovator. Isn't that weird?
it is weird.
Yeah.
It's strange.
But the only good Luigi is a dead Luigi. So good picture, Frank. Good job. So nice, although to be fair, it is nice that Luigi got his own little series though with Luigi's Haunted Mansion. That is cool, for the Luigi fans.
The end of that trailer, they do show Luigi, at least the one I saw, with Charlie Day is voicing him, the guy from Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and he's running from what looks to be zombie Koopas in what looks to be a haunted mansion. So we're
Yeah,
gonna
no,
get
it did.
reference to that.
It did.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. But fair enough. And of course, the man himself, Mario. And
Game.
I played this Mario Kart with the kids so many times. It's a lot of fun, and it's one of the
Yeah.
games that I could beat the kids regularly.
This is the game that my father literally quit playing video games forever because we
Oh,
would beat
really?
him and he didn't like that.
He
So he's
didn't
like,
like it.
not playing this damn thing ever again, and he never did.
Well, it's like of course I didn't rage quit, but the WWE games that came
Hmm.
out, my son loved that. I just couldn't win. He just absolutely devastated me.
Yep.
But I could almost hang in the FPS stuff. My
Hmm.
son likes those. He's actually really really good at them. I told you guys before that Splatoon 1, now 3's out now, but Splatoon 1, he and his team, his four-member team here from this little village, they were the world champions in Splatoon. That
That's
ain't
awesome.
nothing, dude. That's something, right? And I actually sat here and I watched them play and win that championship.
That's awesome. That's
It
actually
is.
awesome.
It is
Because that
awesome.
game's humongous now. Splatoon is
It
one of the
is.
biggest
It
games
is.
in gaming.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. But Mario, he's just one of those guys. There is for the
Thanks, Joe.
all of my life, Mario's pretty much been there. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, all my
No,
entire
no,
my
yeah,
entire
for
life.
sure. Yeah.
And if you're a gamer, you've definitely played something with Mario in it
Hmm.
at the very least, right?
Yeah.
He's ubiquitous to the entire industry. So it's good that they're finally taking it seriously and giving I say us, but the world a movie that takes it seriously enough, but doesn't try to turn it into something it's not.
Yeah.
And I like that. I think that's what we need. I think we can thank the Sonic movie probably for that. I would imagine. Um, So hopefully it's very successful. Mario himself is going to go on. He's going to continue. They don't miss with Mario. It's amazing. Nintendo's track record with Mario games is the best track record in the history of
Yeah,
entertainment.
yeah, they made a lot of money.
Period.
It's true.
They just don't miss. If they put out a Super Mario Brothers game, it's going to be very good at the minimum, if not great. They do not miss. They're fun. They know what they're making. They make it. It's typically glitchless, right? There's not a bunch of problems coming out of it. And that is unique in gaming. There is no franchise that's at well, there's no franchise as big as Super Mario Brothers, and there's no franchise that's as successful consistently like Super Mario Brothers is. Nothing. There's not a singular one in Japan or America or the world that consistently just hits like Mario does. Something about this goofy little Italian plumber. They just they found a chord, and that chord they just keep hitting it perfectly every single time,
That's true.
and that is very special. And Mario is very special, even if you're not a big Nintendo guy, which I'm not a big Nintendo guy. I'm glad they've never given into the whatever you want to call it, the zeitgeist of the day, and tried to turn Mario into something he shouldn't be,
No,
and
no,
they
they
just
never
made
will.
Mario.
No, the
Yeah.
Japanese don't give a shit about that. I'm kind of curious, what do the Italians think of Mario? He's probably the most famous Italian.
Well, that's probably true.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of arguments against that, but I mean, maybe Julius Caesar, but he's technically not Italian, so
Well, and nor is he alive, but
right.
nor is Mario. But you know what I mean. But I wonder if Melanie Chan likes it because that's interesting. The new leader of prime minister of Italy, who just speaks common sense. She's a pretty good speaker.
Yep,
She's a big manga and anime fan. If you guys didn't know
that's
Hmm.
that,
awesome.
yeah,
Uh oh, man, maybe we are gonna have World War II all over again.
maybe. Maybe. But it is, I guess you guys would just call me old fashioned, but in general, um, uh, you know, when it comes to leadership and stuff like that, mainly it's just managing the infrastructure, and this is really kind of what men do. So it's not like you really need female leaders per se, especially because they tend to be much more violent and dangerous than men. But occasionally you do see a female come up who you're like, oh, okay, that's a leader. You do see one.
Yeah, yeah.
And I feel if you watch her speak, I was like, okay, that's a leader. It's like this lady from Arizona, the Latina lady. I can't remember her name. Ricky Lake, is that it?
Sorry, Lake.
Ar
Ricky Lake.
Yeah, Ricky Lake.
I'm sorry, I couldn't resist. But go listen to that lady speak. That's a leader. That's a
No, the
act.
leader is that was it a blonde lady from Poland or somewhere in the. We were always looking at her pictures on Drawn and
Oh
Quartered.
well, she's sexy, but but you know what I mean. I mean, there's plenty of female boss ladies who are just annoying and they don't understand how to actually lead. They think they women don't understand masculinity. They think it's all about being tough and yelling and punching people in the nose, and that's not what it is. But occasionally, you guys know what I'm saying. I'm sure I'm offending the women. But occasionally you see a woman is like, oh, okay, well, that's an actual leader.
Most actual
Occasionally.
women, that doesn't offend. I've found if it's the ones who are very well, I say this, the ones who are extremely insecure, even as women, that get offended by the idea that men are better leaders. Because every woman that I've known that was an honest woman, like my wife, and I'm sure probably like your wife, Chester,
Oh, sure.
um,
Yeah.
they'll just straight tell you that men are better leaders because they've worked for women, and they're like, oh no, I don't want to work for
Well,
women.
no, we're
They'd
we're
much rather
we're
work for men.
built for it. I mean,
Yeah,
leadership is really about maintaining infrastructure. It's really what it is, right?
yeah,
And if you go beyond that, well, now you're getting into tyrant territory, and that's never
right.
good, right? And it's just most women aren't as good at that, but sometimes you get some that are. That's all I'm saying. But
Mhm.
that Melanie lady, if you go listen to her speak, she's a great speaker. Her ideas are very simple, but she's a leader, is all I'm saying. You know,
Right.
and
Yeah, no, I
Like
like
Ricky
him.
Lake.
like Ricky
Yes,
Lake.
like Ricky.
Yeah.
Hey, Ricky was a big famous star for a long time. She must have been doing something right because she was not talented. So she must have been doing something right.
Well, let's take a look at our Ricky Lake
Oh
here.
God, here
Oh,
she comes. Here she comes.
I'm pretty sure that's how you spell it.
I'm pretty sure it's not, but yeah, go on.
I think it is.
I'm pretty sure that's
No,
No,
right. No.
CKI.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know. I said it because I know she's something. I don't know. Oh, she's from the
He was a talk show host in like
talk.
the
Yeah, talk
I
show
mean
is where I
for a
know her
while.
from. But
Yeah.
it's like, damn, she's kind of rough looking.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. She has to. There must be something about her because she was a big time talk show host in America for a long time. So
She looks like a nice grandma now. She probably not. She's got sloths in the background. That's never a good sign. And dead dog.
sloth.
Aw. Okay. And she's talking cannabis. So she's one of the stoner grandmas. Sweet. Alrighty. But anyway, let's move away from Ricky. But you guys know what I'm saying. But
Mario's the goat.
he
He'll
is the goat.
always be the goat. It's going to take a hell of a lot of effort to ever unseat him as the goat, and it's probably never going to happen. So hail Mario.
Hail
Hail
Mario.
hail that fake man.
Hail. Although you guys know who the most powerful character ever created in reality is.
Uh-oh. Don't say God.
Jesus?
I'm
Yeah.
no, I'm not gonna be mean. I'm not gonna be mean. Kirby.
Yeah, Kirby's ridiculous. He's OP.
It's
Well, I
insane
actually
OP, dude.
I got one bigger than that. We'll have this debate right now. Popeye.
No, Kirby
Yeah.
is god level cosmic
So
power.
is Popeye.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but no, because in that
No, I'm telling
argument
you,
we could
Popeye all
talk
day.
about Wile E. Coyote.
Yeah, he's up. Well, he's like a. If there was what is the opposite of always success? Being very competent but always failing. That's Wile E. Coyote. He sets up these elaborate things, and
Elon Musk.
they always fall apart at the end.
Elon Musk.
Okay, but let's move on. So let's see here. What do I got next? Oh yeah, I had this next.
Sandman creator Neil Gaiman misses the point while responding to accusations he went, quote, woke with Netflix series.
All right. Now, I don't know how many of you guys watched it. I watched a couple of episodes and I couldn't continue. I know Eric had said the same thing. Thanks, baby.
It put me to sleep. I ended
No
up watching the
kisses?
rest of it. Kisses.
That's the rule, dude. She can't come near me without kisses. That's a rule.
Oh, I thought you were
In
talking
this
about
house.
me. I was like,
In
well,
this
all
house.
right.
Well, I'll take kisses, Eric. I'll take kisses. I'm always
He
up
li-
for the kisses.
He doesn't live in America. They kiss each other in weird countries. I don't know.
Oh,
That's
that's
weird.
right. Yeah, yeah.
But anyway, so same. It was boring, and it was clearly overly woke. And the funny thing is, I think all of us here have read Sandman. Have we?
I did a long time ago,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
yes.
it's been a long time, but yeah.
It is. It does have wokeness in it. It's clearly homoerotic in many ways, but didn't care. It's well written. It's a very interesting story, right? It's
And,
good.
from this article, he stated back then it was. I read this article earlier today.
Yeah.
It was political correctness back then, not woke. So
Well,
that's his argument.
he's wrong, and I'm going to point that out. And he's 100% wrong. And I actually going to take some time and read this article, if you guys don't mind. But Neil Gaiman has responded to accusations that he went woke with its production by pointing out the fact that the original books he wrote 35 years ago were woke. And, not really. I see. I don't think Neil understands what woke is. Like I said, his stuff definitely had homoeroticism in it, clearly, because he's a gay dude, right? It's his thing, and that's fine, right?
Is he gay?
Well, I don't know. I feel he must be, but it doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter. But that's not woke, though. Just because you have this kind of at least the minimum feel of androgyny with the Sandman run. It doesn't. That's not wokeness, right? He doesn't understand what the word means. He does use the word politically correctness, but even that is not politically correct. I would use
Right.
the word auteur or artistic. or something like that, but it's not politically correct.
Mm.
Political correctness is it's the inception of woke, but woke has gone way beyond that, right?
Um, I think you're correct, and I would say I agree with you. I think the difference between woke and PC is obviously PC is like the beta state of it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Um, and yeah, you could say it's politically correct to do this thing or that thing, and that necessarily isn't always a bad thing depending on the context. But woke is pretty much always a bad thing. And the reason
it
why I
is.
say that is because it misses the point of why you do these certain things. So let's say you make something politically correct. That changes depending on the zeitgeist of the time. So in the late 80s or whatever, there was a different meaning to that than there would be today, by and large. So that one's kind of like a slippery type situation. It's almost a slippery slope, if you will. But woke is at the bottom of that always, and woke is typically, at least in modern times, typically left leaning in its political
Well, it
uh,
is only left leaning.
implementation.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, you can have a version of it that's similar to right wing, but I would argue, like you're saying here, is that that's actually just left leaning with right wing principles.
Well,
But
extremism, I suppose. Yeah,
yeah, so I think my point is that I agree with you. I think he's wrong. I think to say that
he is.
it's the same thing misses the point of what the problem actually is, and the problem is intention. The reason why he made the thing that he did originally is probably like what you said. He's, you know, leans that way, or at the very least, he's very much a part of that cause. The fact that now it's, as you said, insufferable to even watch. Both of you said you couldn't even finish it, yet we've all
No,
read the book and it was
unfortunately.
fine.
Yeah, that's
Tells
true.
you that the intent and that the heart behind it is in the wrong place. Because if you can take two works of art, whatever they are, and they have the same message, but you deliver one with the correct intention and you deliver one without the correct intention, the one with the correct intention will almost always be superior. Almost always. And that's the difference. The difference between political correctness, which is basically just a form of censorship of
You
usually
could even
yourself.
call it etiquette.
Etiquette, yes. And wokeness is the intention behind why you're
It's
doing it. If I say
forced. Yeah.
something in a public setting and I do so, I restrain my verbiage, I restrain the way I say it, my tone and my tenor, and even the actual verbatim words of it. That is a form of political correctness, depending on what I'm saying, of course. If I then go into the same venue and I restrain myself, but I only do so for the express intention of political posturing, that is wokeness.
Yeah.
And that is what wokeness is. So that is why that's the difference. And that's why one is, they're both kind of wrong, but PC is a far less sin simply because usually the intention is good. Wokeness intention is not good. Wokeness intention is political propaganda. That's the
Right.
point.
Well, we mentioned Clancy Brown earlier, and I'll give you a
Yeah.
perfect example to this definition. Highlander. He walks into
Yes.
a church. He initially does the little, showing the political correctness and crossing himself. But when he
Mhm.
leaves, he flips off the bird and he makes that quote with "Die young and burn out." Right.
Right.
That was an example of political correctness going to wokeness.
Yeah. I agree with you.
Yeah. Uh,
100%.
uh, so anyway, but so initially, where you're wrong, Neil. And see, the thing is, if he had just done his story the way he had done it, I think it would have went well.
Yeah.
But he thinks he is part of the wokedom, and I don't think he really is, though.
I don't either.
But he offers thought to push back. He wanted to be as inclusive as possible. Well, what does that mean? What is inclusion? Because it seems to me what we see these days is mainly exclusion, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, uh,
Specifically of gingers for some reason. They're the target of the ire. They gotta go. We gotta get them out. We can't have them pasty redheads anywhere near our cinema of any description. It's forbidden, Chester. We shan't have it.
well, that's true. They
Shan't
really
have
do
it.
hate them. But it's another thing that's interesting with because in one of the things and I didn't even get to this part, but death was replaced by a black lady, And okay, you want to have one of the Eternals, not the Eternals, damn it, um, the Forevers. I forget the word he used.
Endless.
The Endless. Thank you. It's actually the perfect word. Good job, Neil. But you could have made one of them black, I suppose. Sure, but not
Yeah.
Death,
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
right? He twisted it once already by making her female.
Right.
So why are you double twisting it? And what are you doing? It doesn't make sense for that character anyway.
And what makes that worse is him and the artist use a real person as the model for Death, Cinnamon Hadley.
Yeah, yeah.
And then even praised her and talked about her after she died and stuff. I mean, they always listed her as the inspiration for Death. She is the embodiment of the character of Death we have drawn and wrote. And then you come out with this and go, we're going to change her.
Yeah, he's being caught up in the wokeness, but not understanding what he's doing. I feel when we look at this here, he says
I
when
agree.
people are accusing me of being quote unquote woke for Sandman stuff that I wrote 35 years ago, it's like yes, well yeah, but why did you change it then? If you were happy with your level of wokeness, which didn't exist 35 years ago, Mr. Gaiman, then why did you change it? You're already woke as far as you're concerned. So what are you
Right.
doing?
It's already good enough, wasn't it? What's
Yeah.
the problem?
And he goes on to political correctness, not the same thing. He misunderstands that. And then you talk about political correctness gone mad. Well, wokeness is political correctness gone mad. It's exactly
Yeah.
what it is. It's inane would be the word. I remember once reading a book where they started talking about political correctness and the fact that you could no longer make jokes about people's ethnicity or religion the same way. Okay, of course you can, and you should. The author
Yes.
further recalled, and I thought, well, actually, that's not political correctness. That's just treating other people with respect. Well, no, it depends on the
I disagree.
situation. In normal political correctness, we do that out of etiquette, out of to so everyone gets along. But at the same
Hmm.
time, we have these people in our community that these modern days we call comedians. In the past,
Yeah,
they would have been the fool or the jester, and it's essential that they mock everything
that's right. Keeps you
because
humble.
it keeps you humble. The
Yeah.
ego need not be brought to such extremes. And now
Yeah.
that you cannot question anything, this is causing the absolute dire destruction we're going on. When you have some stupid child come up and say, I'm a cat and I'm going to act like a cat in the classroom, and the teacher can't grab him up by the neck and drag him down to the principal, you have a problem, right? And that's where we've gotten. That's where we've gotten to, and it's we literally have drag queens in elementary schools. I don't understand why there's not pitchforks and torches down the lane.
Cowardice.
It is coward. That is another conversation we haven't had much. The cowardness is I don't understand it. Like, especially, Eric. Let me ask you a question here. Now,
Sure.
you and I are the same generation, right? And let's say you took yourself a trip and visited the New York City, or say Philadelphia, or Chicago, or Oakland, or something like that. You went to a big city, right? Now, of course, I lived in a big city, but you're a country boy, right?
Live outside St. Louis, but yeah, mostly
Yeah,
I'm pretty much a
country.
country boy.
That's
Yeah.
not a city. That's just where barbecue
Waste.
lives.
St. Louis is a pretty big city.
Okay.
All right, go ahead, Chester. Go
Anyway,
ahead.
you know what I mean. But anyway, say you're. I don't know it's big enough to have a subway. Is kind of the point I'm making. But let's say you're on the subway somewhere, and you see a guy literally starting to rape a woman in the car in front of you and all the other people there. What do?
Well, of course, I take out my cell phone and record it.
Yeah, right. Well, you get
No,
involved.
I'd jump in and stop that shit. Yeah.
You or do your best. I mean, and the people say, "Well, you might
Oh
get your
no,
ass kicked,"
there
and
would be
it's
no
like,
best. It would be done.
yeah, no, in that situation. But you know what I mean. It's like, well, you might get beaten, you might get hurt, and it's like that has nothing to do with anything.
Cowards.
The fact that you will win is not part of the conversation. It's simply done,
That's right.
right?
Right thing to
Even
do.
if you end up dead, it does not matter.
If you do the right thing only because you believe you are going to succeed, you are not doing the right thing.
Right? That's right. You know, you know, I don't have any angst against Mr. Gaiman. I really just don't think because he's our age, right? I just don't think he gets what's going on around him. He's always been the liberal, you know, artsy type. You know, it's his thing, and that's nothing wrong with that. I am an entertainer myself. I get it. But he said in light of this, he started to change things, and it's like, well, what are you talking about, dude? You already said you were being politically correct. So he says, so I just think, okay, instead of political correctness gone mad, that is treating other people with respect gone mad, he explained. Oh, okay, semantics. And I would love to just sort of substitute to have a little thing on my computer that substitutes the word woke whenever it turns up. With just treating other people with respect. Now, keep in mind, he's not being horribly woke here. It might sound like it, but I just don't think that's what's happening. I think he thinks he's being nice and, you know, therefore politically correct because it is about etiquette and niceness, right? Where wokeness is about hate and toxicity. But anyway, he then turned to expound on the topics of how it's the idea of escapism, the fact that you have given people with a book something to escape to. You've given them people who they know. Exactly, Neil. Exactly, Neil. You have given them people that they know. You have written one of the most famous comic book series in history, Mr. Gaiman. A lot of people know exactly who your characters are, and that's not Lucifer. And I got nothing against this lady. I think she's a fair actress, right? I think she gets miscast all the time. And it must be sad for her because she's a big giant woman and she constantly gets thrown into that shit, right? But we already know who your Lucifer is, sir. We already know who your death is, sir. You just said it yourself. Look at the absolute lack of awareness from the dude. Let me read it again. He then turned to expound on the topic of how it's the idea of escapism and the fact that you have given people with a book something to escape to. You've given them people who they know. He said this shit, and yet he's not aware he said it. You see you see the point I'm making, don't you?
Yeah, because well, one, it contradicts he contradicts himself in one
He
sentence,
has
and
incredibly so.
two, if I to explain that, if I'm trying to escape, why would I want to see people that I know? Maybe the people that I know are what I'm trying to escape from.
Yeah,
Maybe I'm surrounded by assholes.
but you've established something that worked really, really well, right?
Yes.
If you're taking something that was an interesting idea but a complete failure, well then, all right, take some liberties, see if you can make it not a failure. But that's not what we see these days. They take things that were major successes and then change them, right?
Into
Because
failures.
it's time, I guess. And
Yeah.
they fail. And of course it's because we already know these characters. We have these characters. And when you're changing them away from the thing we know, you are messing with our head, dude. And he's aware of it. He's aware. Once again, it's the idea of escapism, the fact that you have given people with a book something to escape to. You've given them people who they know. He's aware, but yet
Yeah.
unaware. And nothing
Yeah.
against Gwendolyn Christie here. I do like her. It's not her. She just took a job, right?
I would say, going back to his original point, that it's treating other people with respect. I would say it's doing quite literally the opposite because you're infantilizing them. Somebody who cannot be mocked is not even really a person. They're nothing but a walking ego. If you are above all forms of mockery, lighthearted mockery, now I'm not talking about straight up harassment or ridicule, but just somebody poking at you a little bit. If
That's
you're
right.
above that, then you're not behaving as a human being. You're trying to behave as something else. And you don't treat somebody you respect that way. If you respect somebody, actual respect is a two-way street. If you have that, you can pick on them a little bit. You can joke with them. It's not a big deal. This idea that it's disrespectful to tell a joke about somebody's religion or ethnicity, there are times where sure that's definitely the case, but not just whole cloth.
Well, there's
There
a
are plenty of
line
times.
to it. There's a way to do
Yeah.
it, right?
So
And
this idea that it's just treating people with respect. That is a cope, sir. You are coping because you've sold out. And it's
Yeah,
easier for you to say you're doing the right thing than realize what you're doing is cowardly,
well, I
because that's
almost
what it
feel
is.
like he's kind of a lost grandpa though in these
Right?
comments I'm getting out of this. And Joe, I 100% agree with that. David Bowie would have been perfect as Morningstar. To be fair, in these days, if you get his head out of his ass long enough, Jared Leto probably would have been okay. Um, someone like that. I think because Leto has a bizarre sexuality to him, kind of like Bowie did. He's a cult leader. He gets a lot of the ladies. But anyway, going on to what I personally think is his greatest creation, actually, Caroline.
Mm.
And of course, this is certainly something that's probably going to resonate with young girls more than young boys, I would assume. But if you ever seen Caroline, just watch it again, and then the third time. That is really deep. He did such a wonderful job with it. But anyway, I get now the story as let's see. I get adults, particularly women, coming up to me and saying, "I read Caroline as a girl, and it got me through really hard times. It got me through abuse, and it got me through breakups. It got me through very bad places." And I would think to myself, "Well, if Caroline can get through her story, I can get through mine," and I would go back and reread it. Now, people might well have said that to you, Neil, but they're just being rhetorical, as people tend to be,
Yeah.
right? However, I'm not going to take anything. Like I said, I think Caroline's the greatest thing he ever created in reality. But
But
okay, people are.
he wrote that today, he'd be thrown to the wolves because he's not a woman. He shouldn't have that kind of perspective.
That's right.
Exactly. Okay. And he wouldn't get that. He doesn't understand what he thinks he's talking about. Is my point. In this case, with this book, I gave people a place to go. Yep. I gave them Caroline, is a person who may not even have existed in reality, but she existed in their heads, and I gave them very little escape, and perhaps in some cases gave them tools to fight back or ways not to be afraid when they'd finished escaping. When they returned from the book, he concluded, and that's very real. Exactly, Neil. Once again, you're contradicting yourself, sir. Well, now, if we're going to go back and we're going to take Caroline and remake Caroline, and we're going to turn her into a black lesbian, does that do anything for your story? Does it change the story in any way? Does it
It's
help the story in any way?
inclusive.
I guess. But you know what I mean? It's ridiculous. He's
Yeah.
winning the argument for me. Thanks, Neil. Good job.
Good job, Neil. You're doing good. You're doing good work, Neil.
You're
You're,
doing a good
you're
job.
defeating your own arguments, Neil. Thank you.
And
Um,
and I don't want to be mean to Neil because if you read this article, he's not being a woke asshole. He's not. He's confused. He's
I
confused.
think what you see
He's a
coming
boomer.
out,
He is.
what you see coming out is confusion. But the reason there's confusion in him is because one, he doesn't understand what these people are going to use his works to do, and two, he sold out. He sold out to Netflix to do this because he wanted to do it, and he's trying to rationalize that away, and that's
Maybe.
why he's contradicting himself
Maybe.
because he knows his position doesn't. There's when you start to poke holes into it, it falls apart very quickly because he's contradicting himself. He's talking out of both sides of his mouth,
Yeah.
and he's not normally like that. Like I've seen Neil give interviews; he's usually very consistent.
Yeah, but
So
but it also could have been them like, okay, well, we're gonna make Constantine a woman. We want to make Death black, and he'd be like, oh yeah, yeah, that sounds great. He might well have been just not understanding what they were doing because I feel that from reading this article that he
They
was
probably
like, oh,
told him
that
that's
sounds
what
great.
Twitter wanted.
Or what
Twitter
I mean,
wants us
I
to
don't
do
know that he's
this.
sold out, is what I mean, Eric. I think he might have been just like, oh yeah, that sounds cool, not understanding the intention behind what they were doing, right? Almost an innocent thing, which is weird to say for
I'll
Neil
tell you this:
Gaiman.
to,
You
to
haven't read
put
his shit.
something on Netflix, most you're going to have to sell out. You're either going to have to do like Millar did and just basically sell it to them, the rights to it, or you're going to, if you want to do what Neil got to do, there's going to be lots of signing on lots of dotted lines that effectively you're selling your soul because there's no way Netflix is letting anything get on their platform that isn't 100% on their message.
No, that's true. The message. That is true.
Yeah.
And Joe, now Joe, you're this is interesting because you're making my point for me again. You're following down the senile road of Neil Gaiman here, Joe. Devil's advocate for Neil, the Sandman, does allow for a plastic perception of the endless, given that they are anthropomorphized and the endless appear according to various cultural perceptions. Yes. So why lock it down, Joe? Hmm. But anyway, and Neil's done the same thing, and I don't know. I'm making a huge assumption, and I'm probably wrong as usual. I just feel from reading this article, and I saw something else from him as well. It's not just this one, where I think he's doing the same thing. I think I don't know that it was him selling out Thundero. I think he was just like, oh yeah, yeah, okay, yeah. And not
Nah,
he
I
doesn't
think he sold
understand the
out.
intention of what they're doing.
The reason
I
I
think
think
he's a
he
bit
sold
out of
out
touch.
is because this was his idea. And in order to get it done, he had to sign on the dotted line with Netflix so he could do. He did this. They didn't do this. He did it. He's been open about it. He changed the characters. It was his decision from day one. And he did this because probably it was part of the deal, but also he sold out. He wants to impress. I think Eric said it earlier. He wants to impress Twitter. He wants to
Mhm.
impress these people
Maybe. It could be a
for
part it could
various
be a bit
different
of that.
reasons.
Yeah, it could be a
Yeah.
bit of that. Yeah. They're
He's
the
already
cool.
said he'll
Yeah.
take it to a different network for season 2.
Yeah.
So he's still got some rights to it.
Yeah. Um, uh, 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 yeah, no, I understand what you're saying, Joe. I get what you're saying, and I understand the meta thing. I do understand that, but it comes back to the situation, Joe, that I said earlier. This is not some random obscure comic book like Guardians of the Galaxy that you could take and do what you want with it, like James Gunn did. It's not that. This is one of the most famous comic book series, graphic novels of all time. It is not the same thing. Sandman comes into conversations when you're talking about the Dark Knight Returns, that wonderful Daredevil series. There are some major graphic novel comic books that are at the upper echelon, and the Sandman, the I would even argue Garth Ennis's The Boys are in that echelon, right? So this is something that is really well known. There are far more people who have not necessarily even comic book people who have read this. I guarantee you, the entire Crow group who do not read comic books other than the Crow read the Sandman, right? This
I'd
is
agree with that. Yeah.
far more widespread and wide read than most comic books would be. And therefore, you've established what a thing is. Therefore, by his own words, you don't change what you've created for people. He said this himself. And I understand the meta argument. I do. I just don't agree. So, anyway, what do you guys think?
I I think Mr. Gaiman is one of the best writers of the modern era.
He's really good.
A lot of his work is spectacular. It's a shame that this series was a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
Because if you actually did Sandman the book properly, it could be a masterpiece. Genuinely. It's one of those kind of stories that should be easy to translate if you don't fiddle with it. But he
It needed a
fiddled.
better director. It needed that for damn sure. It's just
Yeah.
so boring.
So it's a shame to watch good old Sir Gaiman himself. What's the word I'm looking for? Flail like this?
Yeah.
Because that's what it comes off as. It comes off as a flailing, like
Well,
he's desperate in a way.
I
Um,
think Eric hit
if
it.
if he
Boomer.
all he had to do was just own what he did. If he wanted to change his work and make it into a more inclusive work, fine. But just own it when people call it woke. But yeah, it's woke. But the fact that he won't do that, the fact that he's trying to redefine it, means he understands, at least on a subconscious level, that what he did was wrong. Because if he didn't think that, he wouldn't care if people called it that.
Right.
Just
And
wouldn't give a shit.
and Joe is continuing to play devil's advocate here, and I get what you're saying, and I think Neil did the same thing you're doing, Joe. But what he's not understanding is the intent of the people that were changing it, that were in his ear. Their
Right.
intent has nothing to do with the meta. It has nothing to do with why not. There's a message.
There's a point.
It's that they're intentionally trying to change the reality of the world by propaganda and brainwashing. It's intentional. That's the problem. That is when it becomes woke.
Correct.
Intentional brainwashing, intentional propaganda. I think
Programming,
Neil
as they call
programming
it.
is exactly what it is. And that I think Neil is thinking just like you are, Joe, in your devil's advocate proposal here. I
Mhm.
feel that he was doing the same thing. He just doesn't understand the intent of these people.
I agree. I actually, with that explanation, I think you're probably correct. I still say he probably sold out, but I think he did it which it always happens in Faustian deals. He did it very naively because he didn't understand, and I think I said this originally. He didn't understand what these people were going to do with it.
No,
He thought
he
he was
did not.
he was just playing in his sandbox and getting paid for it again, right? Whereas these people have a very nasty reason why they're doing what they're doing. They're open about it. It's not a secret. It's not some conspiracy theory. They hide it in a bunch of flowery language like diversity and inclusion, but it's really just they really hate white people,
Hmm.
and they think that they can somehow punish white people by doing these things. So that's why these things happen. It's really that simple. It's everything that white people from the past get accused of in the modern day, like in the universities of erasure and trying to belittle other races and all these things. They're doing today now in Hollywood and other places to white people. And
Hmm.
if you notice it as a white person, they call you a racist, which is shocking levels of mental gymnastics. To be like, hey, how about we don't do the thing you guys said is a problem to anybody? If
Yeah,
it's a
well,
problem, how about we
that's
do it?
why woke is evil,
Yeah.
specifically. And Jeff is on your side. He thinks he just sold out. Fair enough. But I just got a different feel out of it. However, um, let's not mention too much that he's behind Caroline, because if they find out, because they're too dumb, right? But if they find out, they'll cancel that, and that would be a shame, because Caroline is such a wonderful portrayal of what it means to be young and confused about reality and yourself. It's I know if you watch it just straightly, you think it's just some little spooky, horror esque story. It is not. That it is very deep, and I really, it would be a shame if they canceled Caroline because some white man wrote it. Some white British man.
Well, is he what is he?
I
Is he
think he's
white or is he
British.
Jewish?
He's
Uh,
British. Yeah.
yeah, he's a British guy. Yeah,
What he is he's an old man trying to become relevant to a younger generation.
maybe.
I like how his name's Gay Man though. That's funny to me.
Yeah, yeah. It is perfect. It is perfect.
Now, his best work, I think, is Stardust.
It is good too.
Stardust is good.
That is good
It's
too.
a good time.
But I mean, as far as writing something to a generation, Caroline
Yeah.
is pretty impressive, but I'm not going to argue. He's a really good writer, and he's done
Well,
so
he's
many things that
exceptional.
are he is, and he's done so many things that are impactful and important.
Hmm.
Yep.
So I understand the knee jerk reaction, just yeah, fuck Neil Gaiman. Nah, no, let's not do that.
Well, Neil Gaiman, one of the main reasons why Doctor Who became such a shit show is because the first episode he wrote was where they first introduced the concept of regeneration being able to swap sexes directly, and it was but that the rest of that episode is just amazing. Like it's
He's really
seriously
good.
probably the best written Doctor Who episode of all time.
Yeah, but then again, he's also contradicting himself again because the Doctor's a dude. He's an
Correct.
androgynous, goofy, almost bumbling character. It's the Doctor is who he is. He's not you know, he's not what that lady turned him into. They could have done something if she had stayed parallel to what the Doctor was, just being female. Okay, but she didn't. They
Yeah.
didn't. So and then
It's
and they're
interesting
continuing it.
because like the Doctor, I think Mario is a very similar type of character. When the Doctor is a very, I want to say innocent, but that's not the right word. He just has this childlikeness to him when he's done well, in my opinion. There's obviously been different interpretations that
Yeah,
are
sure.
different, but
No,
I think the
this is
best
very true.
versions of him
Very true.
are he has an innocence about him. He has a almost naivete about him. Uh, and I think that's one of the reasons why Mario works because it's very innocent, right? It's very simple and simplistic. So when you make changes to that formula, like it has been done to Doctor Who in the last decade or so, you lose something key and crucial to the character. It's one of the reasons why modern Superman sucks. There, for the most part, except for a few things here or there, they haven't done Superman right in a very long time, and it's usually just one-offs or events that get him right. But as
Yeah,
far as like in his
that's true.
regular books, no, they haven't. They
Well,
haven't even come. The new one just got canceled already.
well,
Like they already canceled that.
you know what they could have done. To be fair, what they with Doctor Who, they could have done a spin-off like they did with Torchwood, which I liked, with the face of Bo there,
Mhm.
Harkness. And they could have had another Time Lord who is a
Yep.
female, who is in, of course, Time Lords can be anywhere in time. And she comes to realize that she and all the other Time Lords are dead because the Doctor has died. His final death has come. So she
Mhm.
is, the Time Lords are done. They're gone. And the Daleks have won. But she's in this time and understands that. And what do you do? Right? You could have
Yep.
done that. It could have been really interesting, and you could have introduced a female character that you didn't have to try to paint with this big Doctor Who brush, and you could have done whatever you wanted. Keep in
Mhm.
mind that Harkness, the Torchwood guy, is gay. Does anyone care? Anybody? Raise your
Well,
hand. Anybody? No, because he's an awesome character. It was a great. How many seasons they get out of that, Eric? Like 3 or 4.
Oh, what?
The
Torchwood, I think they
Torchwood.
got 4. They
Yeah.
got
I
4.
watched Torchwood.
Oh, it was
Yeah.
great, dude. You got to watch it. It's wonderful fun. But I mean, they could have done that.
Too
They
gay
could.
for me.
Well, it has its moments, to be fair. But no, it was fun, and it was a spin-off. Why don't you do that? Why don't you just let the Doctor sit and rest for a little bit and do something different? But no, because they have to do exactly what you said you shouldn't do, Neil, by changing what you've already created, right? And taking away what had been given, right? But anyway, let's move on from this. But I was very interested because he's not this woke, you know, Twitterite. It's not what he is. It's not what's going on here. And I think you're right. He does want to kind of appease, maybe. Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
this story is hilarious, or or
Uh-oh.
or not.
Uh-oh. Man, yes, this is
Oh,
interesting. Man who donated his mother's body to an Arizona Center for Alzheimer's Research discovers it was sold on the U.S. military onto the U.S. military for $6,000, strapped to a chair and blown up in a blast test.
Okay. Now, if you sell your family member or they sell themselves into medical research, well, conversation over.
Yep.
However, maybe American government, it's not the best idea to take Granny and blow her up in a fucking blast test. Just maybe.
Yeah.
Anybody?
No. Yeah, I don't think See, I'm of two minds of it. Like I agree with you. They gave it away.
You
They
did.
gave the
He
cadaver
did.
away,
Fair
so
enough.
they can do it's their property now, and they can do
But,
as they please with it.
but,
But at the same time, like, do we really need to? First of all, do we need to be doing that? Why do we need to blow up human corpses in these tests?
yeah,
What is possibly gained from this information? We know how much force a bomb needs to kill
yeah,
somebody.
just
So
use a
what is this?
foreigner or something.
There's plenty of them coming over the southern border, right, Chester?
Yeah,
how'd this
point and
guy even
fig.
find this out anyway?
I
That's a
Did
don't
good
they
know.
send him a
question.
letter? Oh, we're gonna blow up Granny today. Would you like to come watch?
It is devastating, though. I mean, you guys get my point. I'm of course they're not wrong. It's all what it is. But we have a word in the English language, and all other languages have a similar counterpart. It's called decorum. Hmm.
Yeah.
And I think blowing up Granny in a military test is a bit past the stage of decorum. Would you agree?
Yeah. I think it's just messed up. Like you can't complain about the proliferation of the trans nonsense and then just turn a blind eye to this. It's kind of in the
Yeah,
same
well,
thing.
it's
Like there has to be
unrelated, but
lines. No, it is related because it's crossing a line. There has to be we have to hold something sacred. You literally don't have a civilization if nothing is sacred.
mhm,
That is what civilization is. It is a series of lines that your people draw and say, "No, we don't do this. This is not what we do. This is beyond us. This is barbarism. This is savagery,
right.
whatever." And this is something that you just don't do. We need to you must respect the dead more than this. You must. You are obligated to, or you don't belong in our society at all.
Yeah.
Simple as that. And I agree. I think this is now this guy's blaming, if you look at the Twitter post, he's blaming capitalism for this. I understand why he's saying that, but it's not capitalism that drove this. It's arrogance and greed
Yeah.
that drove
Because
this.
keep in mind, he donated. He got no money
Yeah,
out of it, right?
that's right.
But I put this up here for the obvious reasons, but for another little bit of a question.
Uh-huh.
There are a lot of people in the world who are staunchly against the idea of autopsy, but yet
Hmm.
it's performed whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
It's kind of offbeat for what we usually talk about, but Eric, what do you think about the idea of autopsy?
I see no problem with it.
Really? You don't have any problem with, a loved one? I mean, an actual loved one being carved up by some coroner to find out what everyone knows already, or being thrown into a university so they can practice cutting into a body?
In some cases, you don't know what happened, and
Sure.
I'm fine. I'm fine in those cases. I mean, if they're just doing it just to peek inside,
Well,
yeah,
that's
that's
the
kind of
thing.
wrong.
That's why they do. They do it for practice. If it's
Now, when they're
if it's a serious situation where we need to find the truth, okay, fine. But that's not the 99% of the time. That's not what's going on.
I think
What happened
it's
to
a
Eric?
gray it's a
I'm
gray
sorry.
area. I think it's a gray area. And the reason why I say that is because, like you said, there is valid reasons why it's done.
Sometimes.
But most of the time, it's not done for those reasons.
No.
And those are the reasons that I don't think we should be so permissive of in our society. Um, we just, the problem in today's world that everybody can agree to, even if you disagree on the particulars of it, I think everybody can agree that there is a massive loss of basic respect
Yes.
for just period.
Humanity.
Yes.
Yeah.
And COVID, if anything, really should have driven that point home for people. The stuff that these hospitals were doing, and some are still doing because of COVID fear, is just monstrous, abominable. Um, not it's subhuman the way they behaved and the way they treated people. And
And
these sorts
continuing
of
to
things,
do so, especially young children these days.
yes, these
Mm.
sorts of things are just we have to be able to say no. We have to be able to deny people who are in positions of power from being able to enforce these sorts of things. So something like this is very similar. It's just wrong. Like you can say, "Oh, but they needed a test dummy and blah blah." Did they? Why do they need to test an actual
Did
human
they?
body for this?
Did they really?
What?
Can't we find an
Yeah,
analog, right?
an
Like
animal,
a
a
pig,
cow, a
a
pig,
pig. Yeah.
something, or just a dummy, right? Just a big silicone dummy. Like, why does it have to be an actual human flesh person?
Yeah.
Yeah, MythBusters use dummies all the time, or used to.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, because they want to see the actual dispersal of flesh is what they're after. Um,
Why? What
be,
do they get from that?
because they're morbid dicks. That's why.
Oh,
But
sick.
I understand what Alan is saying, and I understand the points. But I'm telling you, if someone did an autopsy on a loved one of mine and they had no need to, I would become violently irate.
Yeah, no. If there was no medical reason to do so, or no like criminal reason, Yeah, I wouldn't be happy. I wouldn't be very happy. There'd be
But
some
they do
lawsuits.
it all the time, and you
Yeah,
have no say in the matter,
yeah.
right?
You can get say only if the person was like had either had it like in their documents or they were known to be of a certain
People
religion.
don't think
But even
about that
then,
shit, dude.
exactly. Even then, they can still go around it.
Hmm.
So like you can set up all your stuff before you're gonna die, right? All of your what you're gonna do. What's it called? Your like not resuscitate orders, things like that.
Right.
You can say, I just let me die, and the family can still be like, no, when you're passed out there, and the hospital will almost always side with the family because they don't want to get sued. So that all of your wishes you can make, like don't put a tube down my throat, don't do any of that nonsense, just let me die. The hospital can override that if your family members, your next of kin, tell them to. Happens all the time, and that's messed up.
Hmm.
That's absolutely messed up. It's the same vein, right? It's like, what are we doing? What are we doing to people? There's nothing. First of all, most of the time you go on one of those machines, you're dead anyway. So what are we doing? You're just prolonging the inevitable at best. Uh, it's the same idea though, right? Like you were talking about decorum. It's
Yep.
been lost. There's nothing that's sacred anymore. Even the human body. We don't. That should outrage people
It should
that
be.
they're doing this with human cadavers. Whether it's somebody you donated, that the particulars of the story is really not the problem. It's that last bit there that they're blowing up cadavers in testing sites. For what purpose? We don't
Yeah.
need to do that at all. There's
Being
no
granny
good from
adds
it.
another layer to it, but I get your
Yeah,
point. Yeah.
it's just messed up. It's
It is.
weird. It's
Well,
it's ugh.
well,
It's
look at this
ugh.
here. This is from an FBI
That's
report.
even strange. Well, that's supposedly from the same article, right?
Yeah, it is. During a BRC raid, which is part of a multi-state investigation, the FBI found buckets of body parts and the bodies of different people sewn together at the facility. One FBI agent testified that he found a cooler filled with male genitalia, a bucket of heads, arms, and legs, infected heads, and a small woman's head sewn onto a large male torso, like Frankenstein, hanging up on the wall. And damn, dude.
Yeah.
But what's even stranger, this article is from 3 years ago. Why did anyone discover this then? It's now just being brought up. I've seen it a couple times in my social feeds
Well, it
lately.
happens all the time, dude. I mean,
Yeah.
they have a full blooming business from Planned Parenthood of selling baby
Oh
parts,
yeah. Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Yeah. And we were talking earlier about shows that failed. I went and I'm a big fan of Kolchak. I don't know if you guys have ever watched it, The Night Stalker. It's got a couple of movies and then a series that went like 20 episodes, and I rather like it. So I know some episodes are better than others. I get it, but I enjoyed it. And some 15 years ago, they did a remake of Kolchak, and I saw that, and just the other day I watched it, and I could one episode was enough for me. Not because I'm not going to get into why they in every way you can imagine they screwed it up. But one of the things that kept irritating me, because in that episode women were being murdered and their babies torn out of their body, they kept using the word fetus. It
Your
irritated
favorite
me.
word. No.
Yeah.
Dehumanization.
Mhm.
It's so hot right now.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll move on from this, but Fort Dahmer. Yeah, exactly. Joe says Sophocles showed well before the rise of monotheism that Antigone spoke for humanity in her revulsion against desecration. Christopher Hitchens, quote unquote. But yeah, all right. Because I know the initial knee jerk reaction is everybody is a chuckle because it's
Yeah.
absurd. But
Right. It's an absurdity.
Oh yeah.
Like
Yeah.
what? They
but
did what?
it's
And then you're like,
it's
wait,
it's
they did
pretty
what?
it's pretty damn dark, dude. That's pretty
Yeah.
damn
It's
dark, and
as
especially
famously said by a former general. Whatever you think your government is doing, it's worse. And yeah,
yeah,
I
yeah,
just
you're right,
don't.
Jeff.
Why? Get somebody. They need to explain to the world. why this is necessary to use actual
Oh,
bodies for.
I'm sure it happens all over the place, all the time.
It's disgusting.
These modern days probably very standard. There is no respect for humanity anymore. It's ridiculous. And yes, the remake of Kolchak was awful. It was really just the complete
You know,
what was that,
someone
Eric?
just someone just crowdfunded a comic book for Kolchak a couple months ago.
It's a great premise. It's a good idea for an anthology, right? And but it's just the cold. I don't mean to get into it. It was just that particular fetus thing that I wanted to mention in regards to this article. But the thing with Kolchak, the remake of it, it's a good. This is 15 or 17 years ago, but it was already starting back then, right? And it's a complete lack of understanding of the source material. They didn't do their research. They don't know what Kolchak is. They put a pretty boy in as Kolchak. They
Mm.
gave him a black female partner. What? It's Kolchak. I mean, it's just this complete misunderstanding of what the character is. And we see it all the time, constantly. They just don't do their research. Anyway, let's move on from this. Whew. Oh, that's morbid, man. Anyway, moving on.
Rumor: Warner Brothers Discovery and DC Films still want to pit Ben Affleck's Batman against Deathstroke. No, thank you.
I don't know. Why not?
I don't like Affleck. I don't know why so many people
I don't
do.
like him either.
He's just not a good Batman. He's fine as Bruce, but he's not a good Batman at all. He's just not. He doesn't. I didn't like, especially Snyder's interpretation of Batman, where he's out here driving cars, shooting guns, and just no.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Yeah. No. Well, I'm going to ask Eric what he said real quick, but just to respond to the chat, Joe, of course you're right, Joe. The X Files is the remake of Kolchak. You're right. And a very successful one. It is Col. It is the Kolchak made that happen. But I'm talking about the actual. They call it Night Stalker, the actual direct, remake. But you are correct. The X Files is exactly what that is. But Eric, yeah, I'm not a Ben Affleck fan at all. But Batman versus Deathstroke could be fun though.
Anything coming out of Warner Brothers sucks, and I didn't mind Batfleck too much, but just every single one of the movies has just sucked. I mean, they're letting Ezra back in to start filming more scenes for the Flash. I just have no faith in Warner Brothers whatsoever.
Yeah, it's going to hurt them. Well, we'll see what Zaslav does in the long run. I think we like the direction he's heading. We just have to wait for results, right, Thundero? I mean, you said that several times. We got to wait and see. But the premise of Batman versus Deathstroke is fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
It is. The only problem is they haven't built Deathstroke.
No, they didn't
Right?
have to.
Everybody knows who Batman is. We need a movie or so where Deathstroke just is there doing things.
Right. We know how badass he is. Therefore, we
Yeah.
we can see it. But you're right. They need to flesh him out. Yeah.
That's the problem with all the Warner Brothers movies. They don't flesh anything out.
That's true.
Yeah.
It is
Just
true.
throw it at you.
It's a problem. Yeah.
Yes, the whole Death of Superman comic, the whole storyline thrown at you at the end of a movie that nobody likes.
Well,
Holy crap.
the problem with me, because of course I love Batman, but we just haven't seen a great Batman. I mean, honestly, if I'm going to rank as far as who I think did Batman best, Adam West, and then Pattinson.
Yeah.
Damn it! And he wasn't even Batman. He barely spoke. I agree with Thundera. I think he's growing. They're going to grow him into it, and I hope they
Yes.
do. That would be genius, right? It would be straight up genius, and he might end up being the actual first real good Batman we've had. But I mean, how in the hell do I and so many other people, when they say who's your favorite Batman, Adam West comes out of their mouth instantly? How is that even reality?
I'll tell you how. It's not because the other ones necessarily were bad, because the reality is we haven't really had a bad Batman. I don't like Affleck's, but it's more of an interpretation situation than it is his
Clooney?
performance. Even Clooney was fine. The Clooney was just in a terrible movie.
Yeah.
But we haven't had like a bad Batman, I don't think, at least not on film. We've had bad Joker now, unfortunately, but we haven't had a bad Batman. And I think the reason why Adam West is so beloved is because isn't so much the zaniness or the goofiness, it's the fact that his Batman was always heroic
Oh
and
yeah,
came off as heroic. And that is, I think, why he kind of like stuck in so many people's mind because he's not my generation. He was long before me. That show was on the air,
yeah, but you've
and I
seen it.
probably agree with you. I'd have to think about it, but yeah, I'd say probably I would put uh Sparkle Boy above him personally, but they're right there. You know, they're right there in that
Yeah,
conversation together. So I think it's just simply because the heroic aspect of Batman he gets correct, right? His
yeah.
interpretation,
No,
all
that's fair.
campy, over the
That's fair.
top. He feels like a hero.
Yeah, but I mean, Eric, Adam West literally bat two seed more than once.
Yeah, but like Thundero just said, I mean, he was long before our generation, his generation. Adam West was the on-screen Batman up until 1989.
Hmm.
Everybody knew who he was. My
Sure.
personal favorite is Michael Keaton, but then Adam West.
Well, my personal favorite is the voice actor for the Batman series, actually.
Well,
But
right,
yeah,
overall,
yeah.
but live
Uh,
action.
but live action, yeah. I don't know. But I put this up here because the concept of Batman versus Deathstroke would be great, but I just
Yes.
think the amount of work needed is quite a bit. And especially, I don't know who's clamoring for Ben Affleck to come back. Even Ben Affleck doesn't
There,
want to come back.
that's the big one who's not, but there's people who are. There are people, Chester, who unironically think that Batman vs Superman is the best superhero movie ever made.
Well, those people need to be lined up and shot.
Yes, and preferably multiple times. Can we
Yes.
just unload on them? Because
Start
holy
with the
crap!
knees. Yes.
Yeah, can we start low and go high?
Yeah.
That is a take. It's a terrible one, but it is a take.
Yeah.
Um, these are the type of people who Warner Brothers has for too long now catered to, and I'm hoping with the rise of the axe, we're going to see them cater to more
Yeah.
sensible people
Hopefully.
who want their superheroes to be,
Yeah.
heroes.
Well,
Crazy, I know, right?
he can't cancel everything. He's got to
Right.
work through it and get into what he wants to do. We have to wait and see. Captain Canada has made the most important comment that has been made today. My favorite is Nicholas Cage as Big Daddy playing Batman. Yep, you're right, sir.
Those people
That's
that
not
love that
terrible.
movie,
It's
her
not
mom's
terrible.
name is also Martha. That's why they like it.
Oh,
Oh
is it?
God.
Is it? Well,
That's what
Kick-Ass
it
is
is.
fun, especially
And
Nick
the
Cage
worst
in
part
it is
about
great.
that whole Martha thing is Booster and I were actually talking about this last night. Is it's not that the idea is a terrible one, right? Because it is a weird coincidence that they both have the same name. It's the execution is literally the worst possible way you could do it. There's no other way you could have done that worse. So they could have Lois is sitting right there when he does it. It could have been Lois that says her name's Martha to Batman for some reason, right? She mentions Martha when he would say mother or mom because he wouldn't call her by her first name. Doesn't make any
No, he'd
sense.
say mom. Yeah,
And Lois would say, "I'll tell Martha" or something, and that would stop Batman because
yeah.
what? And
Well,
he realizes he's a person.
it's another example of something happening in the movie because the script demands it, right?
Yes,
Instead of it
exactly.
being just good storytelling. But anyway, I'm not going to dwell on this. I just, the concept of I would love to see a full, knockdown brawl between Batman and Deathstroke. It'd be fun. Anyway, let's move on. Oh my God.
Oh God! Official Women's March organization throws support behind Amber Heard, affirm her defamatory claims of domestic abuse against Johnny Depp. Good,
Now,
Johnny, sue him.
yeah,
Crush him,
maybe.
Johnny.
Well,
Go get him. Send that cute little lawyer you got. Send her after him. Get him.
right.
Get him,
That he's
Camille.
supposedly dating now, which freaking
Oh,
Johnny
I
Depp.
don't
Yeah.
blame him. She's a
I know
cutie.
she was a cutie. But anyway, this is funny because keep in mind she lost definitively.
Yeah.
She is trying to redo, and it's not going anywhere for her. She is being sued by multiple people now from multiple angles. She cannot pay her what she owes Johnny Depp, and therefore that would go into court itself. It's a complete train wreck and failed situation with Amber Heard. Why would you put yourself anywhere near it? It's a
It's weird,
White man
man.
train
bad.
wreck,
I think
dude.
that's what it is, and it's just weird. There are so many people, and or even groups like this Women's March thing, that for some reason they just cannot accept that she's the bad guy here. They just can't do it. They refuse to believe that this woman is a liar and a manipulative abuser. Refuse to believe it. And it's really gross to watch. Like you can see these people on Twitter and social media and stuff. I don't get it. These people have made, and obviously they haven't, but other people have made defending Amber Heard their entire identity.
Yeah.
It's so weird to me.
Well,
Because listen, they're both garbage human beings. It's just Johnny was the least garbage of the two.
there
But they're
are
not good
better
people.
there are better hills to die on, dude.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I love their advertisement here. Look how they have chosen the most ugly, disgusting things to call female on their
Yeah.
little poster here. Um, I mean, it's like, wow, talk about unaware. Because is this what they think the average woman looks like?
Well, it probably is in America nowadays.
Now, I'm not really even talking about their body shape and stuff. I'm talking about their sensibility, their concepts, how they dress, right? And there's plenty of chubby
Yeah.
women in the world, and there's nothing wrong
No,
with
yeah,
The
that's
armpit
how.
hair. Don't forget the armpit hair
yeah,
right there.
armpit
Yeah,
hair. It's
that's
like,
how trashy America's become, Chester.
yeah, but this is not what women are,
Oh,
dude.
oh, it is. It
Yeah,
is.
you need to come home for a week.
Yeah, you'll lose your mind,
I
bro. You
would
come
be
here.
arrested.
You would. You will lose your mind. Yeah, we'll bring you to the Midwest. We've seen
Yeah, yeah.
there's a million women like this waltzing around every city in the Midwest.
You come back to the States, go out. I'll come meet you guys, and we'll all hang out together, and we'll just record Chester's response to everything
Meltdown.
he sees.
Well, it's just going to be constant war because I do not back down.
It's terrible what has happened, Chester. It's actually terrible. The degeneracy is real, and it's worst in the females, I would say. Men are too, but in the women, it's especially the way they dress. Even young women, they're always in trash clothes or they're in pajamas
What?
everywhere. No matter where
What?
you go to court, you go to courthouses, they show up in pajamas at court.
We have
Yep.
certain dress codes in America. Thank you very much.
We used to.
Yeah.
We used to, like even myself. I had for a long time because of some of the differing circumstances. I was dressing way down from what I used to, and in the last year or so, about since I lost all that weight, I've really made it a point to not do that. Right, to try and keep my dress standards up. But so many in America have absolutely no interest. They'll go all over to all sorts of weddings, funerals, dressed like slobs.
I
Yeah.
never leave the house in such a state ever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, it's because it's about once again decorum and
That's right.
cultural etiquette.
Integrity.
It is.
Oh, we need to take you to a Walmart.
Chester, you will look at America as a third world country after we're done. Seriously. I'm not trying to be funny with that. There are places in this country right now, big places, that are third world or worse.
Well, I have seen trailer trash before.
Oh. Oh, now imagine an entire department store of them. Hundreds of them. Meandering around, smelling up the place because they don't shower.
Are
They
we
don't.
going? Are we going to Arkansas?
No, that's the
That's
bad
it.
thing. It's everywhere.
You have been gone way too long.
I've been gone decades, dude. Decades.
I know.
Yeah.
It's changed
Well,
so
yeah,
much.
but I mean, you don't go out of the house in flip flops. You don't go out in shorts. You don't. I mean, Well, I mean, you don't. You present yourself for how you want the world to respect you. Why? That's not proper to be laughing at that. That is standard, sir.
I'm gonna take pictures next time I go to Walmart.
Oh
Just
no, Chester!
no,
I
just
need
go. Hey,
you.
Chester, go to peopleofwalmart.com.
Yeah, Google peopleofwalmart.com and look how these people walk around Walmart. This is why my wife hates to go. She pretty much refuses to go to Walmart now. Now that we're better off financially, she's like, I'm not going there ever again. I can't, I won't. I won't subject myself to it. She said.
Huh. Well, I don't know what's that all about. I mean, is it that widespread or is it
Yes.
niche?
No.
When there's a freaking website devoted to how people look at Walmart.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Peopleofwalmart.com. It's real. That's a
there must
thing.
be plenty of people who take themselves seriously, though.
Well, surely there are,
Yeah.
but I would say the majority of people are dressing just above slobbish in America. That's where the standard is now. Whereas even 20 years ago, that wasn't the case. You know, people typically dressed what we would consider casual wear, right? That was very common. It was everywhere. It was all the time. Now you can go into any of the cities, you can go into any of the suburbs, and you definitely can go into the rural places, and they're just not. They don't do that anymore.
Huh. Well, let me ask a question. Let's get to the heart of it then. If people have to go to a job interview, how do they dress?
Well, it depends on the job, but for your
Any
standard
any
job interview,
Yeah.
most people now will probably show up in jeans and a decent shirt. Not even necessarily a collared shirt, just a decent shirt.
Yeah.
One that isn't full of holes.
A T-shirt with no graphics on it.
Yeah,
It's colored.
just a plain shirt. Nice, clean. Maybe if you're lucky, it might be pressed, but I wouldn't put my hopes up on it. Yeah,
You
that's what we're
realize
saying, bro.
I only wear t-shirts in the house.
Yeah,
I
I
would
believe
not
you.
wear a t-shirt out of the house.
Especially in Japan, I believe you. In a professional setting over there. Now, in professional settings, that's even changed too. So there are lots of places like offices and things where you're allowed to dress pretty much however you want within reason. They don't make you come in ties or suits or any of that stuff. Yeah, it's gotten bad. It's really a problem. The degeneracy is real.
But there's a problem with that though, because it's a once again it sounds to me like a lack of awareness.
Hmm.
A suit is a powerful thing, whether
Hmm.
you like them or not, or you want to mock them. A suit is a powerful thing because on first seeing you, it tells the world that you are professional and ready to go. That's what a suit does. It has power, right?
Yep.
It creates a completely different image in people's mind of who you are. So you're
Yes.
telling me that people have completely lost the concept of first impression.
I'd say
Yes.
most people don't even own a suit anymore.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, I've always had a suit.
that should
I've
be
always had at least
illegal.
one. Yeah.
Chester, now you understand. I think you're starting to understand why I abandoned libertarianism. It's for this reason, because people aren't good enough for it anymore. You have to have certain levels of decorum to be. I say this all the time. Only the righteous can be free. And what I mean by that is only people with a certain level of dignity and integrity that they hold themselves to are capable of living in a free society. If you do not have that, you will always degenerate into tyranny. And it starts by degenerating in basic decorum.
Wow.
And the basic decorum is gone.
Courts
It's just
suits are for court cases. No, they're not.
not anymore. There are people who show up to the courts in pajamas. I've seen it with
It's
my own
ridiculous.
eyes.
And
Did
Jeff,
Hal say that? That sounds like something Hal
yeah,
would
it
say.
does. It is, Alan. Yeah.
It was.
And Jeff, if that happened in a job interview, I would scoff and walk out. I would try to. My scoff would be so cutting that they would feel bad about their existence.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Well,
Anyway,
Jeff, that's how we dress at work now too, Jeff. We abandoned dress slacks and dress shirts about 4 years ago. I work in a corporate office. We went to it had to be dark jeans, couldn't be faded jeans or anything, but it had to be dark jeans. You could wear a polo or a dress shirt as long as it was collared. Yeah.
Yep.
I own 2 pairs of jeans. One of them are old and they're classic, therefore they deserve to be kept. And I have another pair that I've probably worn 4 times. So anyway, so not for me. Moving on.
Blizzard Entertainment announces initiatives to bring, quote, sorry, Clown World, underrepresented genders
Genders.
to
Yes.
Overwatch 2
Genders.
competitive teams and cast.
Genders.
So straight males?
Maybe. Yeah. And the thing is, Overwatch is already incredibly woke with its cast, right? Oh,
No.
incredibly so. But it's not. It's underrepresented genders. There's a huge problem with this because there really are only two of them.
Oh, it that literally tickled my funny bone. That felt good. I
Do
needed
they
that
list the
laugh.
genders?
I just the headline. It's just it's the headline.
Underrepresented genders. Listen, if they're
Let's see.
underrepresented, I'm going to tell you a little secret. They don't exist.
Oh
That's why they're
well,
underrepresented. You know what else are underrepresented? Unicorns.
well here
Real
it is right
underrepresented
here.
in
Here it
Blizzard
is.
games.
The modern Democrat speaking point. This via initiatives that are focusing on equity, visibility, and community support for underrepresented genders. Now, this word equity has been
That's supposed to
coming
be
up a
equality.
lot. Equality is not equity; they're not even closely related. Yeah. Okie dokie. Alrighty then. Whatever. Blizzard is in such a death spin anyway right now. The people at Microsoft must be just chomping at the bit for that deal to be finalized, dude. I guarantee you they're going to fire everybody. Microsoft is going to fire everybody because I don't know if you guys noticed this. We've seen a lot of companies go woke and try to appeal and try to get on that money, that gravy train they think that exists. You know who we haven't seen do that? Microsoft. What
I
noise
think
have we heard from Microsoft? Any?
I think even despite that, even that's ancillary to the point that Blizzard is a dumpster fire. Whether it's because of wokeness or not, like I've said before, I think a lot of times wokeness, the projection of it like this is just a cover. It's a smoke screen.
Yeah.
It's the shield they put up so they can deflect criticism from their absolute failure that it has become Blizzard over the last 7 or so years.
Yeah.
They are an abysmal company. The fact that they're still so big simply off of their name is actually sad because they don't deserve to be. They deserve to be bankrupt. The shit that they've
Well,
been doing for the
recently,
last
yeah.
decade or so has just any other company, a smaller company, would be bankrupt by now.
Mm.
But because they had all that stock built up, all that equity or whatever you want to call it built up, they were able to ride it for a very long time. So they got bought up by Microsoft, thankfully. Hopefully, Microsoft does come in and clean house, and I mean everybody. Everybody down to even probably coders is going to have to go.
Yeah,
They're
no,
going to have to
they
do a
need to
full
burn into the ground,
refresh.
restart.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And Jeff, of course you're right. Of course there are plenty of wokeites that work for Microsoft. Ben is in charge of frickin' cybersecurity for
That
Microsoft.
Ben.
And that's way bigger than a mouthful than you think it is. But they don't represent it to the world. They don't bring it to the world, right? They're showing the bombing of that Crimean bridge. Yeah, no, it could be Ukrainians. I think that's probably America. Because we know America's America's in the war now. But anyway, I'm sorry, my wife is watching the news. Anyway, I'll move on from this. But okie doke, as you like.
They are focusing on all the wrong things as they do.
Mhm.
In WoW specifically now, you can't make a male or a female character. You can only make a body type 1 or body type 2.
Well, I've seen several video games handle
Yeah.
it in the right way. They will allow you to put in, they'll offer either a list of things to choose or you can just type it in. And that's fine. That's an easy solution. Well, I mean, easy. It's like here in Japan, the way they dealt with the whole bathroom thing when it was becoming a big deal. All they did was just made the male bathroom a unisex bathroom. Done.
Mm-hmm.
Just genius
Well,
solution
I've
because
never
men could
understood
give a shit,
why
right?
we already have all these regulations for bathrooms, right? Which, in fairness, we probably should.
Yeah, yeah.
Why don't they just say, okay, well, now all bathrooms have to be singular stall? meaning the toilet is in its own little room at all times. And then the only thing that would be communal is where you like wash your hands or whatever,
and
mirror,
urinals
basically.
and stuff. Yeah, but I
Yeah.
mean, the Japanese solution is exactly that. You have a toilet, toilets are there, and the urinals are there. It's just a unisex room. It's the easiest solution because men don't care. We could care
Yeah.
less. Women do care, and I don't blame them for caring. Anyway, let's
No.
move on to our last bit, which is a bit of fun. I know it's not one, but two lists. But this
Oh
one isn't
no.
from Frank, though. This is from
Oh,
Oh no.
Ryan. Mm.
Good old Ryan. Top 8 horror classics to see in theaters this October.
All righty. Let's see if Ryan can appeal to us older men here. I've been a bit surprised because I still do have Netflix. Like I said, we're not going to have it past the beginning of the year though, because of their stupidity. They're going to lose millions of people, dude. It's so dumb. But anyway,
More.
they're used to it.
Millions more.
I
Yeah, they should be used to
suppose.
it by now.
But one thing I've been a little bit surprised checking on the Netflix, they're not putting horror movies up, dude. It's like, what are you doing? It's Halloween, dude. But anyway, there are a lot of classic horror, and I see a picture here that's a character that's not classic, although he's freaking awesome. Let's see what this list is here from Ryan. Let's see how we feel about it. Yeah, I'm not a big Scream fan either, but it's not our generation, Jeff. That's more of Thundero's generation. Anyway,
Mhm.
let's take a look here. So what do we got? He's doing it in a little bit different a way. Oh, okay. He's not doing it like Frank. All right, fine. Um, he's just kind of talking about it. He's written an article. Okay, yeah, go talk to Frank about how to do numbers, Ryan. All right. So what we got here below the special screenings you can watch in theater. Of course, is talking about the original Halloween. Now, yeah, if you haven't seen the original Halloween, my goodness, go watch it. It's
Yeah.
really well done. Yeah. And Halloween, of course, is the most famous thing from Carpenter. Although it's not my favorite of Carpenter, I think for the world it is, though. Wouldn't you guys agree?
Uh,
Oh no, I really like the thing.
Yeah, so do
I
I.
think a lot of people love the things, but yeah, this is probably more popular, I guess.
yeah.
It is a solid movie, dude. It's really well done. Yeah. What'd you guys think of the Rob Zombie remake?
Yeah. I think the silence spoke
Okay.
volumes there.
Yeah,
Fair
it's
enough.
I
me.
like Rob. I like Rob a lot. I actually like his other movies for what they are.
Yeah, his own
But
creations, yeah, are better, I'd say.
yeah, the Halloween one just hit and miss. It was a big miss. Swing and a miss.
Mm.
The monsters sucked.
That I haven't seen.
It's bad. It's so bad.
Yeah, the Monsters was really, really bad. I'm ashamed I watched it. Yeah.
We
Uh,
didn't get through that first half hour. We turned it off.
well, I kept hoping. Yeah. No, I agree, Ash. I would agree with that. I'm just talking more of the average mundane. You know, Halloween is probably more universal. Because someone like my wife, she can watch Halloween, and she can watch that, but there's going to be plenty of times where she's grabbing a hold of me, jumping in my lap, and covering her eyes in the thing. Huh, baby?
I
Who
would say,
just
and I am
watched it?
not the person to ask because I typically hate horror movies. I think they're mostly garbage. And by mostly, I mean probably 99%.
Sure, but we love
But
it. Yeah.
of the horror movies that I do enjoy, I would say the best one ever made is still The Exorcist. That movie is just a mind F. Like nobody's business.
Yeah, no, that is really good. Another real interesting gem is a remake of The Haunting. It's probably got
Haunted.
the best, as far as scary audio. The soundtrack in that movie is insanely good. Anyway, so I guess there's special screenings going on around the country of which tells you a lot. The fact that cinema are putting on special screening of old movies. That's
Oh
not
yeah,
good,
all the
dude.
time.
That
They're doing
is
it all
Yeah,
the
they've been
time
doing
now.
that quite a bit. Yeah.
good. That tells you a lot how the industry is sitting, doesn't it? Right?
Yep.
This is Terrifier 2. Oh, okay, that's why. Terrifier 1, of course, the first Terrifier. Uh, this is the. Ooh, I do like Tim Curry's Pennywise. But no, this is the most brutal clown horror movie ever made. If you haven't seen Terrifier, it's ridiculous, dude.
Is it a classic though?
No, it's not. But damn, damn. I mean, if you're going to make a scary clown movie, that's how you do that. It's really, really good. It's bloody as
But
hell.
to a lot of people, any clown is scary. So
Fair. But if you haven't seen Terrifying, you do like the bloody, scary clown movies. It's the best one. This is only came out like what 5, 6, 7 years ago. It's not very old, but it is good. It is good. It kind of falls in the vein of like Saw came out of nowhere, and although you might not like where they went in the long run, the first one was excellent, right? It's kind of that kind of thing, and they come out of a second one. Didn't know it. Okay. So of course you have the Universal Classic Monster properties continue their march into high definition. True. I saw a movie the other day on. Now you wouldn't know this, Thunder, but remember when we were young, Eric, and you had a creature feature. It
every
had
Saturday.
yeah,
This
right.
guy besmirching me like I don't know Creature Feature.
Well, it kind of ran in the 70s, and they had a new host in the 80s when he and I were watching those kind of things. And then they had like a return, and then they have now it on YouTube. I actually like it. It's just awkward enough. The new cast they have on YouTube. I'm sure they're on other media as well. But anyway, creature feature. I watched the Haunted House of Horror, a weird little not Hammer British movie with Frankie Avalon in it of all characters.
Oh wow!
It's very psycho-esque, but the film quality. I mean, they obviously changed the ratio, but it looks like a modern digital film, and it was made in 1969. And it was probably it's very mod-esque. It's got a lot of the mod feel to it. So it was probably actually made in 65. I would say 66. Damn, dude. So either it was just shot amazingly, or somehow the redoing, like Vinegar Syndrome or whoever did my God, dude, it's stunningly beautiful. I was like, oh wow, what they're doing with film these days, and as far as refreshing them, is impressive, dude. Beach Bongo Frankenstein. There you go, Alan. Yeah. Of course, classic. Any of the classic Universal monsters are great. Bride of Frankenstein here. Uh, so this isn't what I thought, because I don't look at the top 10 lists because I want to be surprised when I see them. Boris Karloff's original The Mummy.
Yep.
Of course, that's really good. Although the remake, I didn't mind it. I didn't mind the remake. I thought it was fun.
It is fun. It's a great time.
Yep. Of course, Dracula, and of course you have all those Hammer Draculas as well with Christopher Lee. The Wolfman, the remake of that with Anthony Hopkins and Del Toro there. Did you guys see that?
Did not.
Yeah, Benicio del Toro plays the son. I like it a lot, but I don't think it doesn't have that kind of modern, fast-paced horror feel that a lot of the young people are used to. It's much more of a classic sit down and take your time movie. I loved it though.
Okay.
And I think that's the reason why Morbius didn't do well, because you kind of got to sit down with that movie, right, and be
Oh
patient.
yeah,
Right.
you do. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, although I do appreciate companies like Vinegar Syndrome, Scream Factory, those kind of guys that are bringing the old stuff back. It's cool what they're doing, man. Of course, The Creature from Black Lagoon, The Phantom of the Opera, many options there. Legend making back in theaters is Bram Stoker's Dracula. What'd you guys think of that one?
The 92
What?
one,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it was okay.
It
I didn't
had
love
some
it.
great things, and it had some really bad stuff, mainly Keanu
Yeah.
Reeves. I can't say that too
Well.
loud. My wife is near.
It wasn't bad. I mean, it was an okay movie. I mean, it wasn't great, but it was okay.
Keanu was abysmal, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. Jeff agrees. The Wolfman remake was awesome, but it didn't do well. I just don't think the young ones can muster the attention span. Grimlock Blackula should be on the list. You know, the
So
Vampire
black.
of Brooklyn there with the old. Now that movie actually was way better than you think with Eddie Murphy. I think that what threw people off is he's serious in it.
Right.
That is a straight up horror movie, and you don't expect Eddie Murphy to be doing that, right?
I have one. I'm not going to mention what it is. We'll
Well,
see if it's on here.
yeah,
But we'll see if it's on here because people forget that it actually is a horror movie. We'll let it go.
okay. There are a lot of them. Psycho should be on here for sure.
Yep.
And people don't talk about beyond the original, but I feel that several of those were actually pretty good. But Bram Stoker's, it's okay. Gary Oldman, of course. Well, we know. Yes, 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 yes. But he's taking a long ass time talking about Bram Stoker's. All right, fine.
Big
So
fan of Bram Stoker, huh?
so we went
Big
from
old fan.
Universal Studios Universal Monsters into Bram Stoker. Okay, fine. And then Trick or Treat. I agree. That is a
That's a
great
good
little
one. Yeah.
anthology. Yeah, I love that. Yeah. What do you guys? What is your favorite anthology though? Ooh,
Much
Creep Show.
Creep Show is certainly, and that's done in such a fun way. It's so much fun
Yeah.
involved in that.
it's
Tales from the
gotta
Crypt.
it's gotta be Tales from the Crypt, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
it ran for many seasons. My family loved that.
Crypt
Um,
Keeper is just so awesome. He's
he
so
is.
iconic of a
He is.
character.
But this little Trick or Treat, though, as far as an anthology, if you haven't seen it, go check it out. It's actually pretty good. Have you guys seen
Yeah.
this one?
I think so.
Yeah.
Pretty
Yeah.
sure I
I
have,
liked
yeah.
it.
And it's in
Especially
the
little
Walmart.
Sam there.
Yeah, he's cool. Yeah, but I guess it's in the Walmart bargain bins. So it looks like Ryan actually went and did research for this article. Wow! Don't tell Frank.
Just
Well,
couldn't
he
put
looked.
anything
Frank's
in
like
order.
Well, it
Frank's
looks.
like, listen, I just gotta put one of these out a week, all right? It doesn't have to make sense.
It's fair. That's fair. But Ryan went and did some research. Good on you, Ryan. But yeah, this is
Got
a great
Ryan.
movie. Go check it out. And he's got to go into it. Terrifier 2. Now, this one's brandy new. I don't know if it's any good. The original one is, if you like that kind of thing, it's bloody as hell, though, dude. If you're not into bloody, don't, Tales from Dark Side, yeah, all Twilight Zone, all that kind of stuff, Roger, is really good. But it's super bloody, but it's really well done. The second one here, I have no idea. I don't know why he's mentioned this one. Um, so maybe he's seen it and he thinks it's better than the original. It's interesting.
Okay.
And it is kind of an anthology too. Yeah, you're right, Ryan. In a way, it is. They are watching it. Well, I'm not going to spoil it. Go watch it. It's
Twilight
actually
Zone, the movie.
Twilight Zone the movie. Yeah, that was fun.
I didn't know until recently that one guy and those two kids getting decapitated is online. You can actually see it happen.
Yeah, no, that destroyed careers, dude. That movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there was an actual. If you those of you who don't know, during the making of the Twilight Zone movie, there was an actual helicopter crash that killed children and actors. It was,
Mhm.
as actual tragedy happened on that set. I know there's tons of rumors about all kind of weird things happening on sets, but that's real. Yeah. The only other movie I know that had a lot of actually really weird, bizarre deaths was the making of The Omen, the original
Yeah,
Omen.
first Omen. Yeah.
Oh.
There were
Whole
a
bunch of
lot
people died.
of weird stuff. Yeah, real deaths. People actually died. Yeah, like the died.
People killed themselves after The Exorcist because they couldn't get it out of their head.
Yeah, fair
Like that was
enough.
the actual thing that happened.
But the scene in The Omen where the guy gets his head cut off by the glass. The same
Yeah.
actor actually died that way.
Yeah,
Oh
it's
my
crazy.
god.
It's really weird. Yeah, there's a documentary on it you can go watch. It's weird, but there's a lot of little things like the girl in Poltergeist died from falling out of a helicopter. No, she died from pneumonia. but I'm just saying that there's a lot of bullshit out there, but some of them are not, and Twilight Zone is very, very sad. But anyway, I'll have to check this out. I got to go check out Terrifier 2 now, because I did enjoy the first one. But yeah, that is a scary ass clown. Scream 2 specifically. Interesting. Why Scream 2? But I guess he went and researched what you can get a hold of easily, I suppose. And I guess it's coming back into the theaters. Okay, fine. I'm not a fan of Scream at all.
I don't think Scream. See, this is my problem with the horror genre. I don't think Scream's really a horror movie. I think it's a slasher flick.
It's a slasher
And
thriller.
there's
Yeah,
a difference.
yeah. Mystery thriller. Yeah, who done it?
Yeah.
But it's just not my generation. I'm not gonna hate on it. It's just I didn't care for it. Even though I'm a Wes Craven fan, I just wasn't that. Scream was
No, yeah,
kind of boring. Yeah, yeah.
Wes is a great creative.
He
Very
is.
creative mind.
He is, and he hit the jackpot with it because that's a generational movie, dude,
Yep.
without question. Yeah. But yeah, no, you can go check out Scream if you haven't seen it. The Law. Wow, I didn't even think about that. Yeah,
Again,
dude.
is that a horror movie? I guess.
Yeah,
It's
a
vampires. It's
vampire
got
movie.
Chester in it playing the saxophone.
That's
I think
true.
I
That
would
is
consider
true.
it more of like a dark drama than a horror movie. But I guess you
Yeah,
could
yeah,
make a horror
yeah.
movie.
Well, and it's also a very interesting premise because it is. They basically started with the idea of you have Peter Pan and his lost boys. What can we do interesting with it? And this is what they came up with. Damn, right? I
Vampires.
wouldn't have went that way.
How
And
can we make Peter Pan dark? Vampires. I love it.
vampires. And this
Make
is
that.
another movie that has a very homoerotic feel to it intentionally, but it works
Joel
really well.
Schumacher.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, but it works though. It's okay. And I actually don't even mind the sequels.
I
Well,
didn't
the
know there were
third one's
sequels.
really bad. The third one's really bad.
There's
The fourth,
sequels?
there's
Well,
4.
those are like direct-to-video sequels, weren't they?
Yeah, but the fourth
Yeah.
one is actually not bad at all. Not bad. The second one is okay. The third one, don't watch that. It's abysmal. You don't need to watch that. But the fourth one actually is not bad. It's not bad. Yeah.
Is that the one that has the cameo of the Coreys at the end?
Well, it's definitely got one of the Coreys in it. Yeah. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
remember. But it's basically following what happened to his the other frog brother.
Mm.
Right, is what they're following along because one of the frog brothers gets bit, like in the second one, right? But anyway, Lost Boys. Yeah, if you haven't seen this one, it's a great fun popcorn film, without
That's not
question.
bad.
Just,
Yeah,
yeah.
Not bad.
yeah. And it does have the Coreys, one of the Coreys in it. It's got both of the Coreys in it. Sorry, they're both. Look at them there, both Coreys.
Yeah, they're both in it. One's dead now, of course.
Yeah. And the other one wishes he was.
He's just a weirdo.
Well, I mean, if even 10% of what he said is true, my God, dude.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That would explain why he's weird.
He is. He's just. They broke him, dude. They broke him.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why you see so many of these kid stars end up is because they're just sexually abused, dude. It's not right. I mean, you hear this crap about this Me Too, which is a bunch of women making decisions to make profit and giving their body for it, which we call whores. There's a word for that. But you're going to Me
Prostitute.
Too. But what about all these children ruined by fucking pedophiles?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Whatever.
It's brushed
Yeah,
under the
we
rug.
got our
Continue the list.
priorities right, I guess.
There
but
it is.
Yeah, Halloween. Yeah, this is a great movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First one's really good.
Yeah.
Especially.
And it sounds like, because he's saying a lot of these you can go see in the cinema right now, and I wouldn't be surprised if this was showing again in some cinema somewhere. But yeah, there now. Not all of them are great, but the original is. And I know this is going to be controversial, but I actually rather love the third one.
It's okay.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's not Michael Myers movie.
Right.
but
and it's not anywhere near as iconic as that first Halloween movie.
no, it's not. But I think people they misunderstand, and obviously the company misunderstood as well. The Halloween, continuing on, the idea was to create an anthology series
Yes.
of different scary stories for each subsequent, Halloween. But they did the second one because it was literally a direct sequel ending the story. And then the third one, they did that. But people hated it because there was no Michael Myers in it. And to be fair, I would have rather seen them do the anthology. Like every new movie is a completely different story. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It would
that'd
have
be
been
cool.
interesting. Yeah.
Well, because we've lost the word. Should there not be a series of movies called Halloween? Now we
Yeah.
can't. It's only Michael Myers now, right?
True. It could have been interesting, right? It could have been like a Twilight Zone, but
Yeah.
every one of these stories takes place on the same day.
Yeah. Whatever. There are certainly some entries beyond the first one which are fun, but the first one is certainly the best. Anyway, moving along here. Why
Dawn
this
of the
one
Dead.
particular? He's choosing very specific ones, isn't he? Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. Are you guys Romero fans?
No.
Not really.
I've never been a huge fan. He's,
I understand he's the father of the genre, but
in a way he is. To be fair, I would give the founding to the Giallo stuff, right? All that Giallo movie making in Italy, and all those famous directors like the Suspiria guy and stuff like that. And a lot of people think Romero is Italian, by the way, which is weird. I mean that he's an American. He's from like frickin' Pennsylvania or something, right? He's literally an American. But so many people I've seen, they think he's part of the Giallo cinema, which he did make Giallo movies in a way,
I
right?
thought he was Italian. Really?
I've seen that comment made several times, and it's like, no, he's an American, dude.
Oh, I just
But
assumed he was.
well, yeah, but I maybe it's just because of our age. But he did do everything in the Giallo theme, though. Let's be fair. But anyway, I'm not a big Romero fan at all. I would much rather go with Return of the Living Dead, which is not Romero.
Yeah.
One of the best zombie movies ever made, dude. Because it's
It's
fun.
pretty good.
It is fun. I would even go with I would with beyond this one. I would have gone with uh yeah. I don't know. I don't agree with this one, Ryan. But I don't agree. Anyway, moving on. Oh, that's it. Okay, so he number 8 is Romero in general. I don't know what is what is your favorite zombie thing?
Ooh.
Wonderful World of Oz, obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
Well, no, you know
Clearly.
what I mean. Something in mainstream media.
Probably, and it's gonna be the most basic bitch because it's one of the newest. Probably just Walking Dead. At least the first few seasons of that show were fantastic.
It was.
Yeah,
Good.
they were.
It was
They
good.
were.
It's true.
Because I'm not a huge guy. I'm not a big guy for the zombie genre. It's just not.
No,
It's
I'm not either.
it's always the same thing, right? Like, it's just different takes on the exact same thing over and over again, and it can be very boring. And I think one of the things that Kirkman did is in a way, the way he did it was a little bit different in that he tried to flip the script as much as possible and turn the humans into the Walking Dead. But regardless of that, yeah, it's just not my genre. It's not. I'm much more of a vampire or werewolf kind of guy. If I'm
Yeah,
going for a
no,
monster
me
movie.
too. My wife loves The Walking Dead, though. She's a big fan. But 28 Days Later, 30 Days of Night. Yeah, those are great.
Yeah, 28 Days Later.
But the 30
Night of
Days
the
of Night
Comet.
is a vampire movie, though. Huh? What?
Night of the Comet.
Oh,
Yeah.
that is awesome, dude.
Night of the
Night
Living
of the
Dead.
Comet is a great ass movie, dude. Some of the best one-liners in history in that freaking
And
movie.
does not get any love.
It should though. That is
I've
a
never even heard of it. Night of the
frickingly.
Comet? What
Oh
is
my
that?
god, dude, go watch that immediately. Immediately.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
is a real classic, an actual classic. I
Uh-oh.
mean, some of the one-liners in that, dude, it just break your sides, man. It's so hilarious. The one, it's got that dude in it. What's his name? That he's such a great actor. He's in so many things. What's his name?
The Hispanic guy.
No, 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 no. The pissed off cop.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
God, I'll go check it. I'll go check it. But yeah, if you guys haven't seen Night of the Comet, go watch that, and go watch the
He's early
alternate
'80s.
director's
Early
cut.
'80s.
By the way, he's super 80, yeah, super 80s, but it's wonderful fun. Watch the director's cut. By the way, not the theatrical one. I mean, they're both fine, but the director cut is certainly better. Where is he here?
I'm going to tell you right now the
Yeah.
movie that never gets put in this category, or at least very rarely, that absolutely belongs in this category because I know from personal experience it has terrified my sister her entire life
Gremlins.
is Jaws.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
She is still
Yeah.
to this day terrified of the ocean and of sharks. She won't go near it, and she has no desire to be around it.
Whoever
Um,
puts that in a horror list, I don't know why.
it is one of the best horror movies. It's my favorite horror movie, and it's one of the best horror movies ever made. Simply because it's not trying to be a horror movie, right? The antagonistic force you never really see. He doesn't really do all that much, but he's always there, and he's always terrifying,
Yeah,
all the way
but
up until the end.
that is a horror movie.
Yeah,
Hmm?
Yeah.
but even if you Google it, they classify it as a thriller, and I'm
Oh
like,
no,
no,
that's definitely a horror
no,
movie.
it's a horror
I
movie.
do apologize, Eric. I was thinking Night of the Creeps, not Night of the Comet. Although Night of the Comet's a great movie too. If you haven't seen that, go watch that. That's a good fun movie. I was thinking Night of the Creeps with Tom Atkins.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Which Night of the Comet is a good movie. Go watch that. But Night of the Creeps is an absolute eternal classic.
And
Um,
they came out about the same time too.
They did, but I would take Night of the Creeps any day over Comet. Although you should watch both because Night of the Comet is a really good movie. But
Oh yeah.
Tom Atkins has some of the best one-liners in history, and yes, I'm putting him in the same category as Mr. Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Ooh.
Yes, but Night of the Creeps is freaking epic, dude. But anyway. Interesting. Thank you very much, Ryan. I have to say, it's a much better article than we get from Frank, though. At least Ryan
Very, very,
researched
Poltergeist
it,
on the list.
yeah.
huh?
Poltergeist should have been on that list.
Which one?
Poltergeist.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that could have been on the list.
Oh man, they made
But
so many poltergeist movies too. Holy crap!
they did. But I think what Ryan was specifically doing is saying things that are actually getting limited releases in theaters and that are on sale at stores. I think this list is very specific to that. He went and researched it. So these are movies you can go watch at the cinema right now, or or on sale somewhere, like at Walmart. He mentioned. I think that's why it's not the best horror movies. It's what you can go see and experience right now. So I forgive him that, right? But anyway, interesting. He did make his name on Jaws. You're 100% right. That it is a masterpiece. And
As he should have.
I will say, he's put out a few movies in a row here that aren't great. But however, you're Amazon. You're going to spend $1 billion on the biggest, bestest TV show ever made.
Yep.
You're spending all this money. You spend tons of money just to get the IP and not even really get all the IP. And then you go and you take two showrunners that have no experience. They made one movie and it sucked.
Yep.
How do you do that? That's my question. I understand there's a lot of arguments and complaining about, Rings of Power. I get it. But for me, it starts at the inception. How do you do that? I mean, you're spending this kind of money. You could have pulled a big boy. I mean, you could have pulled a big boy out to get that done for you. Someone like Spielberg, right? Because whether you like the last 3 movies he's done or not, 4 movies even that he's done, um, it's still Spielberg, dude. Right? I just don't understand how you do that. How do you do that? You're spending that crazy amount of money. You take 2 showrunners that their only experience is a failure. It's shocking to me, dude. It's shocking to me.
So
And
they
what a
can keep more of the
surprise,
money for themselves.
they created failure.
Yeah,
Interesting.
it's just bizarre, dude.
Well, especially think about it for a second, right? So, say you bring in Spielberg, you don't necessarily have him do Lord of the Rings, but you bring him in and let him work in some of his properties, right? They've got the money to secure literally anything.
Sure.
So they could have had him come in and do something cool with one of his old franchises.
No, you could have.
Uh,
They might.
like
They
even
might.
Jaws. Hell, he could have done a Jaws show, right? Like a little six episode miniseries with big budget and stuff, and made it cool. Just for instance, right? There's a
Right.
lot of stuff
But
that he could
even
do that could be interesting.
no, of course you're right, and they could do that with a lot of people. But I mean, staying on track with the Rings of Power, you're going to make this thing. You're putting a huge amount of money behind it, way more than they put around Reacher, and that was very positively received. Right? You're putting ridiculous amounts of money. How do you not go out and get one of the big boys in cinema? How do you not do that, dude?
Because the big boys won't do whatever you tell them.
All right.
And as we saw with the production of that show, it was a nightmare.
It's inane,
What?
dude. It's stupid. It's
Yeah,
just stupid.
with whether it's the scholar guy whose name just escaped me that they released from his duties as the overseeing the script basically, which happened on more than one occasion. Differing scholars were released, um, or differing consultants. From that sort of stuff to just all the rumors of the dysfunction and how much money they actually spent on this show, which is obscene considering it looks good, looks really good. It doesn't look almost $1 billion good. Um, the
No,
the
it
amount of
doesn't.
money and time and energy wasted is why they couldn't get a big guy, because a big name would have most likely not been so amicable to the meddling, right? They would have pushed back on it. So for instance, like a Peter Jackson, he wouldn't have put up with it.
Well, yeah, but
Uh,
imagine Chris Columbus getting a shot at it. It would be very different than Peters, right?
right.
But it would be good because he's a really good director, right? Um, there's so many people on the list. There's literally probably everyone who works in Hollywood on the list before these 2 unknowns.
And then the casting is all garbage too, by and large. Like it's just a very weird project that they wasted a lot of money on,
Yeah,
just to get immediately outshined by HBO again with House of the
right.
Dragon.
Well, right. But I mean, even someone, maybe a little bit younger, like say a Tim Burton, right? Now I understand he's has some hit and misses, but that would have been very interesting take on Lord of the Rings,
Yeah,
for sure. Even someone like a Tarantino, right? I mean,
yeah.
but I don't get it, dude.
Or
Um,
even just like Ash said, why not just throw it at Peter Jackson? Like unless
well,
there's this very specific reason that they didn't, and it was because they knew that Peter wouldn't be easy to control. They
and
wanted somebody that they could control that would do whatever they told them to.
and Christopher Tolkien does not like Peter Jackson.
Christopher Tolkien's dead.
Well, he
Very
wasn't
dead.
when this started, though.
Well, yeah, but as soon as that all happened, as soon as he passed, the entire thing went to shit very quickly,
Well,
and they
because
started bringing in these hacks to do the
well,
nonsense that they've done.
because the kids don't care about the legacy; they just want the money. I
Yep.
mean, there's another thing we haven't really talked about because it's not directly related to Amazon. Someone else has actually bought the rights. Those kids sold it. Lord of the
Yeah,
Rings
that's right.
is no longer under the Tolkien family. It has been sold. Those kids sold that thing immediately for the
Yep.
monies, as if they don't
Like
have
two
enough
different
money in
sets of
that.
rights, isn't there?
What do you say?
Isn't there like 2 different sets of rice?
Oh, there's
Rice.
multiple.
Well, you have
sets.
the movie right, but I'm talking about the entire thing. It wasn't sold to Amazon; it was sold to someone else. But I don't remember offhand. I just kind of saw the article. But I mean, those kids, there must be in the estate. There must be plenty enough money. Why in the hell did they? Oh God, it's these young people. Just the
Greed.
no foresight whatsoever. I mean, because
Greed,
who
greed,
knows what
greed.
kind of bullshit we're going to see come out of Tolkien now? Oh my God, dude. Just strap in, right? But anyway, I do need to get on with my day. It is a day off for me. It is a red letter day, but I do have my wife who's been
Oh,
patiently sitting here. So I need to, give her some cuddles and love. Huh,
go enjoy
baby?
the day with your wife.
I will. She's eyeing me.
Ooh.
Love you. You got to make me lunch? What are you going to make? She's already planned. She's making me breakfast for lunch.
Breakfast for lunch.
Alrighty, fine. Fine.
What is
So
a
you got
Japanese breakfast?
Yeah, well, she calls it
'Cause
brunch.
we know Italian food is omelets to you, so I'm just
apparently yes.
Well, I tell you, that was a really good omelet, though. It was out of place, but they did a good job.
With
Huh, baby?
pasta?
Those omelets were good, huh? They were
Doesn't even
tasty.
make sense.
I know.
Those are two
I know.
totally different types of food.
I know. Don't tell them that, though. But anyway, thank
They're
you all
like,
very
this is
much.
very authentic. This is right on the money.
Right on the money. We'll see you in 2 days for Bugbear's Basement. And thanks for
Oh,
joining us. Today was fun. I enjoyed myself. You guys have fun?
I
yeah, definitely.
always have fun, Chester.
Yeah,
Every time.
that was a good show. That was lighthearted, and we had some good fun. I liked it. So Eric, would you like to make a closing statement to the peoples?
Tune in Thursday night. We're going to draw Sheldon Martin's recent book that he's launching, I think Thursday or Friday.
Yeah, it's a
Or I
horror
think it's
book.
Thursday. Yeah, with I think it has vampires, so it should be really cool. And oh shoot, I wish I had the link to post up, but I don't. Definitely follow him because I don't think he has a lot of followers on the campaign. He's got a pre-launch page right now, and the art looks great in it. I think it's going to be a
Oh,
good book.
Sheldon's an excellent artist.
Oh
Excellent
yes,
artist.
definitely.
So yeah, it should be a lot of fun. Because we do cover a lot of stuff, and some of it's excellent, some of it's not. But then again, it doesn't all have to be perfect, right? I mean, it's okay.
Right.
What?
Said right.
Right, exactly. But Sheldon is a really good artist, so looking forward to it. Anyway, thank you all very much, and Thundero, dude, take us out of here.
I have two of them. Two of which I have written recently. This one is about
Composed.
doubt. Ooh, I like that. Composed recently. Doubt is just fear by another name, hidden in plain sight. Face your fear and stop the doubt. And then the other one goes similar to it. What good have you done by breaking two hearts to mend one?
Namaste. And go watch a horror movie. Later.